flow, talking brother flow. Now it's time for the show. Let's go.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Revolver Live, the gaming podcast that says forget the past, the future belongs to the nerds. I'm the Beastly Gamer. Today I'm joined by three of my best friends. One of them, welcome back, the king of all things Destiny, Briar Rabbit. What's going on, sir?
How you doing? I'm fixing all the Skype windows because somehow they got messed up while I wasn't looking.
It's all good, man. Do your thing. Welcome, man. It's been a long, hectic week for me, but it's always good for me to kind of unwind with my friends. I'm very, very happy to see you. I got a strong feeling we're going to have a lot of fun today. Wilson.
I don't know. I don't think we're gonna.
It's debatable.
Be a pretty fun pre-episode.
It's debatable.
Well, let's try to do that. Welcome back, Wilson. We had your doppelganger here last week. Inner Black Ninja sat in, and we all think he did a great job. Thank you to Inner Black, but we're always happy to have the Wilson back. How you feeling this week, my friend?
I'm feeling good, man. Yeah, Justin, dude, you killed it, man. I'm not gonna lie, dude. And I'm a little jealous that you guys got him all to yourselves. So we're gonna have to get him back here again. Yeah. So, I think that'd be awesome. He did a
Briar
great job.
said, if we get you two together at the same time, then people will know that it's just, it's not the same person pretending, Peter Parker style, Clark Kent style. So
he's way more handsome. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
You guys are real close, man, and I'm hetero, but. Yeah, you guys are real close. And, of course, the Harvey Weinstein of consoles, because we all know that he secretly wants to fuck them all. Gary Diaz. What's going on, my friend?
I'm only interested if they're not.
No.
Fucking nailed it, dude. Just nailed it.
Oh, no.
Look at his face.
Sorry, not sorry.
What's going on, baby? How you feeling today, Gary?
Feeling a little bit under the weather, so I need warm hugs, lemsip, and a hand job if anyone's offering.
I got a warm drink.
Dibs on that
coffee.
last one.
You can have it this week, Wilson.
Yes.
What's going on, guys? Revolver Live is a gaming podcast with 6 revolving topics, and you can be a part of the show, just like Super Dan, by submitting your topics for consideration at revolvergamescast@gmail.com. That's revolvergamescast@gmail.com. In fact, a few of our topics for today's show came from our fans. We go live every Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/Briar Rabbit. That's twitch.tv/Briar Rabbit. The video is then shared on YouTube at Briar Rabbit's amazing YouTube channel and my subpar channel, Beastly Gamer. If you're unable to see the live feed or the video format, check us out in podcast form on Podbean, iTunes, or your favorite podcast service provider. And with that, welcome to Revolver Live episode 12. What's going on, fellas?
I thought it was episode 13.
I'm pretty sure it's 12.
Oh,
yesterday was Friday the
13th.
Yeah, totally. And our fucking power went out last night, dude. I was sitting here and I was playing Iron Banner, and I think you've been playing with me when the power's gone out before, and I'm like, man, the wind is just out there, just blowing, dude. Like, I think there was one time I had a tornado warning. I was playing with you, Briar, and I had to get off the.
I'm sorry, guys. It is episode 13. Correction. You know what? It's something in this coffee my wife made. It's delicious, but I'm going to blame it on the coffee.
Yeah, man. And the power went out, and I was getting ready. I was in the middle of playing Iron Banner, man, and I was trying to get my tokens, and I was telling my friends, I was like, man, I don't feel like I should be next to my window. And right when I said that, the power cut out. So I felt bad. So I had to message them real quick and be like, yo, I'm okay. Like, the window, nothing crashed through the window or anything. The timing was perfect. The timing was perfect, man.
It just took too much power and effort to carry your asses through the Iron Banner.
It's true. It's true.
I was going to say, you were playing Iron Banner, so it was kind of like a blessing that your power went out, really, wasn't it?
Not yet. I haven't gotten my Hunter Cloak yet, dude.
I haven't gotten it either.
I got a floss.
I got the helmet on my Titan. I love because it reminds me of Prison of Elders helmet. If you're back to Destiny Year 1, where the Prison of Elders Titan helmet had like wings coming off the side, and it was utterly ridiculous, and I loved it. I loved every minute. So I did get the Titan helmet with the horns coming off the side. Beautiful.
Bastard. I'm happy for you, but I'm jealous.
Hunter one. Hunter helmet needs.
I got. You
guys all been playing Iron Banner. What do you guys think?
I think I need more than 12 pairs of fucking boots for all my characters. That's all I get is boots, man. You need boots? All at your boy, dude. Come one, come all. Half off. Like, I got you on boots.
Boot Emporium.
Dude, I'm just gonna set up right next to the gunsmith. He won't remember. Like, how many
One
times
size
has that dude
fits all,
been?
Wilson.
Yeah, he's been like his memory's been erased like 44 times or some shit. Like, worried about it. Like, but yeah, dude, I get a lot of boots. I get a lot of chest pieces. I've done good on the weapons, like getting all the weapons. Well, most of them, the ones that matter. But dude, I really, for once in my life, like I really want this armor, dude. Like I need it for my hunter, man, with the quick fang sword. I gotta have it, dude. And it's keeping me
like a samurai, yeah.
Yeah, man, I want to weeb out. I want to get in there and be an anime, slice them, dice them, all over the place, scumbag, invisible hunter.
Yeah, it sounds like Kate when she plays. She's got a lot of that stuff too. I think I've gotten 2 pieces of armor and 1 or 2 of the guns. I love Iron Banner, to be honest. I love any part of Destiny 2 that I can actually win in. And I was talking some shit to you guys on Twitter.
Yeah, you were. You were talking mad shit.
Yeah, you know what? I think I could back it up.
Yeah.
And I'm challenging all you motherfuckers.
Well, wait till private matches come, and we may have to do a revolver versus revolver throwdown.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm a new guy, and you know who?
I cheat heavily when I come
Hey,
down
look,
to this
bring
kind of
that.
stuff.
But you know who? Look, Briar. I can succeed that I'll lose to you and Wilson, but I'm not gonna lose to Gary's ass, and I don't give a damn if you sick. Shit, I'm coming
I
for
just
you.
don't. Cheat to win.
Cheat
Can't
to
help it,
win.
man. It's in my DNA.
Yeah, but I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's the only game I'm playing now, to be totally honest. I'm level 17 in my new character. I was playing that right before we went live today, and really it's the only game I think about, and that's a strange feeling because it's Destiny, Briar. You know where I'm coming from, Briar.
Yeah, I know.
It's weird because it's Destiny. And back in the day, I was like, Briar, I love you to death, but this is the only game you play. What the fuck is wrong with you, son? Now that shadow version of myself is sitting next to me like, what the fuck are you doing? Because
2015 was a year where I literally did not play another game. Like it was an entire year. I started playing Destiny in all of 20. I missed every release in 20. Just played Destiny.
Me too.
Like, I'm still playing The Witcher. I played The Witcher last night.
Damn.
The Witcher 3. I was playing
Why?
The Witcher because the
you
game
want
is so
the new
good.
4K?
So
Then they upgraded that game recently too on PSVR, so it does look better than it did before. Because initially,
PSVR.
I mean PS4. I bought PSVR games last night, so I'm sorry. It's on my mind. PS4 Pro had a new update because initially CD Projekt Red did not intend on doing, the visual upgrades that most other companies did, and they recently did that. I figured that might be why. I did buy some PSVR stuff because you guys know they got this big sale going on. And I played PSVR for about 20, 30 minutes. I actually completed a game. I can't remember the name of it, but it was pretty damn fun. And I bought Tumble VR, just some cheap stuff. But I had to get right back to Destiny. I can't stop playing it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm definitely not playing Witcher.
PlayStation. I was gonna say he's not playing that shit on PlayStation.
How many chicks have you banged in Witcher?
There's been some sex scene.
Some relations.
Yeah.
To be fair,
One
for
of 'em-
me,
I was playing in room because I got that Steam box set up. Or Steam, you got me doing.
Sorry.
Steam box set up. Streams from my PC. And of course, sitting in the living room on the big TV, don't you know it? I come to one of the sex scenes and I'm like, this is not what I'm usually doing up in that office.
Go away, Daddy's working. Go away, Daddy's working. He's trying to cover the TV.
I've got to be honest with you. As soon as I got to Novigrad, the plot went downhill, and it just became whoring simulator for me. I was just kind of it. I kind of do enough local quests to get enough money for my next session, and that was it. I was away. It's great. I never left that tavern.
That game, I didn't play a ton of it, but the 1 or 2 sex scenes or lovemaking scenes I saw were pretty passionate, man. It looked like a daytime soap opera with gratuitous nakedness. I really enjoyed it, but I don't know if that's my favorite game when it comes to the sexual aspect. I think that Mass Effect 2 really pulled me in, if you know what I mean. It was a pretty fucking epic game when it came to that. Weird.
Yeah,
huh?
I've never actually judged any video game based on the sex in the game.
Weird.
I've
huh?
never actually even thought about it.
It's a good
Thinking about
time.
it now. I'm thinking about it now.
When
It's a
you
whole
play the
new
sort of
rating
games
system.
I do, it's one of the key core components. It's one of the 4 pillars of why I buy a game.
I know.
I'll
I
be
gotta
honest with you.
rethink how I rate my games from now
Yeah,
on.
right.
That has to be a factor.
It's a whole new rating
Yeah.
system. Wilson's right.
There's
Life-changing.
graphics, sound. There's of course fun factor. I remember. And then fucking.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fun factor fucking.
How's the
Great.
fucking in this game?
You
I
wouldn't
can't
believe
tell
it.
you. A
I
day
give the
doesn't pass.
fucking a 6 out of 10.
A day does not pass when I don't walk into GameStop and ask that very same question to the clerk, just straight in. You see Madden 2K18 here. What's the fucking like in this game? Just straight away. Yeah.
Well,
True
speaking of getting fucked here, let's talk about Iron Banner a little more.
I forgot.
Okay, so I'm obviously still after armor. How's everybody else's loot drop experience been, and how do you guys like this compared to maybe the old Iron Banner?
I didn't really get much into the old Iron Banner, and the loot drop here has just been average to me. I haven't really gotten anything like super amazing yet. I think I may have gotten one exotic the whole time I played, playing Iron Banner here in Destiny 2. But, you get the Iron Banner themed armor and weapons. And so far, it hasn't really been stuff that I've been wanting to use. So as of this moment, I haven't been super excited, to be totally honest. I just like the mode.
For me, the loot itself is beautiful. The rate at which you earn it is pretty good. I would say fine. The way you earn it, though, I don't like as much as I used to like. I feel like they had kind of gotten it right with Iron Banner in the Rise of Iron, Destiny's final DLC, where you basically earn tokens toward earning rep with Efforty, Iron Banner representative at the time, and you can earn packages. The packages could have any piece of Iron Banner gear in them. Really exciting. The packages were the best because they could have anything. Then you also got drops at the end of the match that could have a small selection of gear in it. So, for instance, one week it might be they're giving away the hand cannon and the sniper rifle and boots and helmets. Right? So that's all that could drop at the end of the match. Then if you didn't get the drop that you wanted, you could go to Lady Efforty and buy them. I thought that was a really elegant system because you might get lucky through the engrams if you ranked up, but you really were only going to get 2 pieces of armor, two guns, and then it'd make you come back the next month to try and complete that set of armor. And I like that system.
So from my part in it, I've kind of observed both of the events. So I looked at factions and I looked at banner, and the common complaint there is that people are finding it difficult to complete their armor sets. And Destiny 2 to me isn't a game that I feel like they've set up to be something that you're chasing the same armor set month on month on month. To me, it's something that you drop in when the event's happening, you get the thing that you want, and then you step out and you enjoy playing with it, and you have that cosmetic factor. So it got me thinking in my head, how could they fix it? And I'm not particularly averse to the token system they got. I think the token system's pretty good. It works, it's functional. There's flaws definitely, but I think to supplement that and to add an insurance policy for people that do want to grind it, like yourself and like you, BC, and want to have all the gear. There's a currency that we currently have a surplus amount of that's meant to be there to buy timed items, and that's legendary shards. So every time Xur comes in, you've got legendary shards to buy your things. Why couldn't there be the vendor, so Saladin, and the faction representatives that obviously have their existing token systems, but then also have, like you say, Briar, 3 or 4 or 5 pieces of items, armor, weapons, whatever, that you can use your timed exclusive currency, your legendary shards, to purchase, because that covers both bases then. And I think that would be a really smart way to give the people that want to grind and put time in a chance to get a bit more out of the event. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think that's awesome, man. You took the words right out of my mouth, actually. There's a surplus of legendary shards. If I hadn't gone through and spent them out of my collections to get weapon parts so that I could get the last few weapons that I needed from the gunsmith, I'd have over 3,000. Not even kidding.
Damn.
And, we have, which seems excessive, but I want something to do with them, even if it's just buy bullshit cosmetics, ornaments for the armor, whatever it is. But my overall experience, besides loot, obviously I'm still chasing armor and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought it would have been a great opportunity to maybe have the weapon. I like the coin system, but that shouldn't be your primary way of getting loot, in my opinion.
Like an auxiliary.
Exactly. It should be an auxiliary way of you potentially getting what you want out of things, and it, you know, should be completely random like it is, but it shouldn't be the main way of getting loot. Totally agree. Connections have been pretty decent, but I think that's a player population thing. Other than the Iron Banner itself, what I was kind of disappointed in was that like there really wasn't a whole lot of lore tied to it. None of these weapons have any lore tabs on them. None of them. Saladin doesn't even like basically recognize us. It even says in his description that he's the last Iron Lord, and it's like, no, you're one of the last OG Iron Lords. You know what I mean? Like we're Iron Lords as well, and like I thought it was kind of weird that he didn't recognize us. But at the beginning of the opening mission, Shaq says, "Oh, Saladin's young wolf," you know, and by the way, that got me pretty excited when he calls you young wolf. That gets me going. But I just kind of felt like it was just like, okay, here's the Iron Banner. We expect you to know what it is. We expect you to know what it's about. Oh yeah, by the way, this went into production before Rise of Iron or Taken King, before they really, or before Rise of Iron. So they really never fleshed out his story. I mean, there's a good chance that they just developed Saladin before, you know, Rise of Iron. Rise of Iron wasn't really even technically supposed to happen, was it? It was just kind of a, yeah. So, you know, there's signs of that, and like, don't get me wrong, I'm hopeful. Like, I'm not trying to shit on Iron Banner because it's been awesome. I've had a great time with my friends going in there. That's
the thing, though, is like actually playing it. It has been a lot of fun. I think partially just because control, and everybody yep. seems to think more of control than most of their game modes. Quick play. It's a way for us to just like control for the week and have a good time and control like that.
I agree. It's been fun, man, running around with the quick fang sword. I've been so addicted, man. You just third person around a wall and dodge out, go invisible. Yeah, dodge out, go invisible. You got three guys trying to shoot you, but they have no aim assist. So
to be honest, I've got my own mini event going on as well, and you guys probably know it. Like for me, I know Iron Banner's going on and people want that armor and gear. I'm all about the blues. Like I've got my new quest. The blues are like the new hipster gear. So the Sand Wasp auto. Sand Wasp is like baller. It's like a high caliber blue auto that's just absolutely wrecking people. There's a ton of good hand cannons that are all blues that are difficult to get hold of, and some of the blue armor sets as well look fantastic, and the stats on it are equivalent to the stats you're getting on the legendaries. So for me, if you want to have a really unique Guardian and customize it, then have some fun chasing some blue armor sets down, and that can be your own mini event. It sounds cheesy, but I'm having a great time using it, and
Blues
you know it
drop
triggers
up to
people.
300 light level.
Oh yeah.
Use them anywhere you want.
Yeah, and you can put a mod on them. So if it drops at 300, you can mod it up to 305. There's no difference there, and I personally do it because you know that when you kill someone in the Crucible, they get triggered by the kill feed, and they see it was like some crappy gun that they dismantled when they were like 20.
What's it called? So, the Sandstorm? Darude?
Sand Wasp. Sand Wasp.
Let me tell you about this auto rifle, mate. You probably never heard of it. The ultimate hipster opening line. You probably never heard of it.
Exactly, man. Exactly. No, I've been chasing down the Cuboid, the Sand Wasp, all of those things. I'm hoping that, you know, some other people do the same because it's good fun, and it's a lot of content there that people are missing out on.
So we know that at TwitchCon they're going to be talking about seasons and things like that coming up here within the next week. And I do believe that they referred to it as this season's Iron Banner. So do you think, get a little speculation going here, what do you guys think that these seasons mean? Do you think it could potentially mean that maybe one season weapons have rolls on them and then it randomizes for the next season? Or what do you guys think what do you think seasons potentially mean?
I have no idea at this point. I mean, it could definitely be that weapons and armor, they keep the same sign, but the rolls are different, which would be interesting. It would give you at least maybe take a look at the guns that you haven't been paying attention to at all, because I highly doubt that it's a brand new set of weapons and armor. I think that's too much work. Like, we're expecting DLC in December, so if the came out this month, we'd expect 2 or 3 between DLCs. To have a full new set of armor and weapons times between DLCs, I think is unrealistic.
Could seasons be from DLC to DLC? So maybe there's not a set time limit on them. So maybe it's just literally like this season, and then the DLC comes in, and then it's next season.
There's going to be multiple seasons for DLC, just based on when the Twitch announcement is. I think they're going to. Maybe it's not going to happen while they're talking, but.
I mean, my gut feel on it, and from everything I've seen on Destiny 2, and the accessibility, and with accessibility being the first and foremost word, I don't think they're going to gate people out by taking away weapons that people may not have had the chance to get yet, and saying, well, you can't get that now, the role's changed. I feel like the clan system that we've got at the moment is probably a good beta for them, or like precursor to what season's going to look like more often. So if I had to put my money on it, it would be all activities in the game will have an overarching progression that you can work towards, be it individually or be it as a group of people. So like Crucible, for example, will have 5 ranks that you can work towards each week, you know, like contribute 10,000 experience or whatever towards, so that over the course of the season you can earn unique rewards if you play a lot of Crucible, or if you do a lot of strikes, or if you do a lot of the raid. So, you know, you have that overarching thing, because that's what clan rewards are, really. The clan season isn't that you can beat other clans. It's not ranked. It just means that if your clan is active, you can get, you know, a certain amount on. That's what I see it as. I don't know. That's, I think, the most likely candidate.
Thinking it might drop when PC comes out. Might be a good time to reset the season.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Could be.
Yeah. I mean, they might surprise me. It might be something fantastic, but I feel like it's going to be something that's super accessible for a person that plays 10 hours a week. It's kind of where I think we should be pitching it at.
I said PC. I saw Gary perk up a bit.
I heard my calling. It's like the back signal. The back signal went off. That was it.
We're close, Gary. Don't worry. All right. PC release will be here soon.
You guys got, what, 11 days left until it drops?
Not even. I don't think. Is it? 24th is when it comes out. 9 days. Yeah.
Oh,
9 days.
man.
23rd for the United States.
Get a day early access.
America.
Early access.
America, baby.
If you're in Australia, you've now got a 1.5 day delay. Have you seen that shit? That must burn. Because they synced it, yeah. Because they had early access, obviously, to the first game, and now they've globally synchronized it to Greenwich Meridian time at GMT. So Oz is like 18 hours ahead of that, or whatever the shit they are. I don't know, like some sort of crazy thing. They've lost like a day. Yeah.
Bummer.
So
I guess.
next topic?
Yeah, I was going to say, did you want to transition onto that? Because our next topic was actually one that I picked out from, friend of the show and fellow YouTube victim, Super Dan. Runs a couple of YouTube channels that predominantly focus on Destiny, so I know he's heavily invested in Destiny as a brand, and obviously a fan of the game. He picked up on a tweet that Christopher Barrett put out, quite light-hearted as well. I know a lot of people jumped on him about it, but Chris Barrett asked what we'd like to see from the first Destiny DLC. So I'd like to throw that question out to our hosts. BC, I'm going to pass over to you first, because I know you've got a lot to say on it. But for the rest of us, I'd like us to hone in on just one part of it, rather than trying to plan a whole DLC each. If we could just think in our heads about the one thing that we each want the most from a DLC, and then justify, I guess, why we think that's the thing that we're most passionate about getting. But go for it, BC. Tell us what's in your head.
Well, I'll definitely hone in on one after I get done. But I sat here after I've read our topics, and I was really thinking about what I would like to see and what would be awesome to me, because we know what we're used to when it comes to DLC and what Bungie normally releases. So we kind of got an idea of what it's going to be, but what it's about to me is really the deciding factor on how awesome it could be. And so I came up with something that I call Supreme Vanguard Era DLC. And the Vanguard era is an earlier time when the Cabal, Vex, and Guardians were fighting their way across the galaxy. Brutality existed across the universe as hatred boiled in the Cabal, and the Vex simply wanted to expand their reach across the galaxy. This is the story, and this is pretty much what it's going to be. All that stood in the way of these beings imposing their will were 3 young Guardians, rookies with a determined will to save their people. These Guardians are now known as the Vanguard, Zavala, Ikora, and Cage 6. In this DLC, you will see the pain, struggles, and triumphs that this fire team faced in the past, and what they did to save their people and their world. So it's a prequel DLC that is actually going to be told to you in the DLC from your character's point of view. You're going to approach your Vanguard, whoever that may be, if you're a hunter, titan, or warlock, and they'll proceed to tell you the story. And as they tell you, you actually go back in the past and play through with them. So in this era, you're going to get Vanguard era
So
Nightfall.
you lose all your loot. You got to start
No,
from scratch.
no. Let me finish. You get Vanguard era. You definitely don't. Vanguard era Nightfall will be included. You're going to get 3 strikes from the Supreme Vanguard era. So it'll be like back in the day. One raid from the Vanguard era. And the way this thing will work, it's going to be a 3-arc story DLC. So each part's about an hour long. Depending on the character class you're playing, you talk to your corresponding Vanguard. They'll tell you a story of a great battle of their past, and you'll be seamlessly transported to that time and place while playing as a younger version of that Vanguard. The battle mission will give much more depth into the character lore, and upon finishing it, you will be given a gift from your Vanguard, a weapon or a piece of armor obtained during the Vanguard era mission. And you can achieve certain goals during the mission in order to get exotics and things like that from your Vanguard. And you can play all 3. So that would be an awesome DLC. You could play as Cade, you could play as Zavala or Ikora. With all 3 of your characters, you play through the game, you get the loot, and they give you something awesome depending on how well you do. And of course, you get the Nightfalls, you get the strikes and everything that you normally get. But to everybody would like to see these characters.
So you never play as your Guardian. You only play as Ikora, Cade, or Zavala.
Yeah, but when you come
scratch.
No, you start from whatever predetermined point. Maybe they're the level you are. Who knows? But this is just an idea. And however they would implement it, I think it would be awesome because we get so much more from these characters. Everybody says they'd like to see these characters actually in the game. Imagine being able to play with them for a little while, and then when you come out of this mode, you have the loot, you have the experience, and then you get something awesome from them as they, I guess, in their mind, told you this story that you got to experience in this way. I thought it was pretty cool. And if anything, I would just like to see more of the story DLC. I want us to know more about these characters, and rather than going to a website and read about what they've done, I like to see them in action more. We got a quick glimpse of that at the beginning of Destiny 2. That was really the first time we saw them ever be badasses, and it was awesome to see.
The last time.
So, you've got some really great ideas. I wouldn't necessarily want that to be the main focus of my DLC. Maybe that's like a little chunk, like a third of it. Maybe I'm too greedy.
No,
I'm with Briar. I want to play as my Guardian for a little bit, but I think that would be an awesome way for them to play off Ikora Ray's meditation section or whatever. Maybe that could be like a bonus to the DLC or something where you go into the meditations, because there is some really good, rich story about Cade, Zavala. Zavala, the natural born leader, Cade, the roguish commander, who may have only been the only person alive to see the collapse. You know what I mean? And then, you got Ikora Ray kicking Shax's ass because they've touched bases on it before, where they said Shax hasn't sat down right since he went up against Ikora in the Crucible.
That was crazy to see.
Dude, Ikora's a bad bitch, dude. Yeah, dude. Stormcaller shotgun. Don't even ape at her. All right, she'll out ape you. But so I really think that's an awesome idea, dude. That's really cool. Maybe you could that way you could take in your weapons or whatever, but people still, as much as we don't have a connection with our Guardian doesn't speak, blah, blah, blah. I still kind of would feel connected with my Guardian, and I'd want to take him through the next chapter, so to speak. But I think it's a really good idea, dude. And I think they could implement that really well with Ikora's meditations. So. Or,
if they did implement it through the meditation, maybe during this meditation, it's actually you reliving what these characters went through, and it's actually your character. And you see what happened. Maybe you're playing as Ikora, but you're talking to Cade and talking to Zavala, and you're hearing what she heard way back then. So you actually get to relive it. To me, it's many ways they can implement it, but that was just, off the cuff what I thought about. I thought it would be really cool. Guys, what are your thoughts? And I appreciate it too, Wilson.
Yeah. Gary, you got...
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm a PvP player through and through. Personally, I have no aspirations in PvE whatsoever. However, I'm going to park that aside and notice that a majority of players are, and I think PvP players are in the minority in Destiny, and that people want PvE content, and that's what people come back for, and people enjoy their strikes, and people like that. So for me, I feel like we need a meaningful PvE activity, which is something you can repeat into infinity, effectively, something that is as shallow as you want it to be or as deep as you want it to be, and a reason to do that. So for me, I feel it's the inclusion of armor sets, and when I say armor sets, I'm talking Diablo and World of Warcraft style armor sets that are unique to certain activities and playlists. So that's one thing there, I guess, like loot that you have to chase and work towards getting pieces of. And if you've not got a lot of time to spend on it, then that's fine. You know, you can just work on that one piece slowly. And I think that the way that you could make that not overpowered, I guess, is that stuff just makes you more effective at doing that certain activity. So if you're doing strike set, you know, you can get a strike set that maybe gives you more resistance against bosses or more damage towards strike enemies, you know, that sort of thing. So you put on your strike gear and you're a good strike player because that's what you enjoy doing. So that would be the one component of PvE that I'd like. And then I guess if I can have a cheeky second, it's scalable PvE activity. And I'm going to go to Diablo again and World of Warcraft, for example, and look at what they did with challenge modes and greater rifts. Because I think that they're a really, really good example of something that satisfies the hardcore and the time-limited player. So you can say, I want to do a light level 200 rift, and this will be like a procedurally generated level, so it can be, you know, like going into a lost sector, but like an extended lost sector where you're just fighting through a cave network that's got, you know, some certain features, whatever. You're just pushing through that, and you've got light level 200, so you know what it's going to be. You can push through it and you get a boss at the end, you get your loot and all done. You might actually say, I want to do a light level 321 or 351 because I really want to challenge myself and push myself through. And obviously you get loot accordingly with that. And the way that I feel that would work is that there should almost be like light level 400 cap on it. So it's something that can never be achieved. And the gear that you get is only relevant in the challenge modes and the rift modes. You put on your rift gear, and the light levels that you get above are like, you know, I don't know, rift levels or whatever you want to call it. So it keeps allowing you to progress, so you can work towards that 400 set of that, or you can just be happy to do it at 280, 300 light, get your gear at that, and then move on because you actually you don't care about pushing through. You just want to be able to do the raid and strikes. And that to me is something that I could repeat and progress and get better at that doesn't exclude the time limited players. I think that's absolutely key. So that'd be mine.
So you're like,
you're
kind of you're kind of like wanting something similar to bring up Ikora Ray's meditations again. You know how you can only get that starting gear, like when you first start a Destiny 2 up, that armor that you're wearing on Hunter, Warlock, and Titan, you can only get that through Ikora's meditations. But you're right, we need more of that, which is like, kind of brings me into my point. Briar, hope we're not on, if we are on the same thought here, we can go ahead and joint this one. But I want to see more end game customization, more to kind of add on to what Gary was saying. I want to see something done more with the mod system. I would like them to maybe slowly introduce like actual perk mods or something. Like, I think, Briar, you had said it best, man. You want to see stuff start low and then get kind of buffed versus what we saw in D1. Everything was so massively overpowered that they had no choice but to nerf it, whereas they can kind of start, okay, we're testing out this mod system. It's not what people want. It's kind of a gimmick. Let's introduce some more stuff to the mods. So like maybe, you know, something that affects your range, maybe something that, well, they already have kinetic counterbalance, maybe something for overall stability, because counterbalance isn't stability. It just makes your recoil more vertical. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I know what we're getting with our next DLC. At least we've gotten like some information from some dependable, you know, sources on the internet that have kind of given us an insight. And I just want to see more end game stuff, man. I want more customization. Like Gary said, I want more gear sets to chase. I want strike specific weapons, or I want a clear path towards loot. I don't want public events to be the end all, you know, the end all activity to do everything. You know, I want to get in there and dip into strikes. I want to do more nightfalls. You know, I'm primarily a PvP player at this point because I've exhausted all the PvE activity minus like the raid every week. Like I could probably get in there more, but I just need more end game stuff. Like I think Briar had even said it before, like give us goals, like 1,000 headshots unlocks a skin for, you know, even a legendary. It doesn't even have to be exotic. And then maybe 2,000 kills, we get a certain skin for hand cannons, you know, like just anything. Like it'd be great.
The goals would be, I think it's Destiny 2. Me, if I had to choose one thing to add to Destiny 2, upcoming deal, no doubt it's gonna be. I miss the fuck out of Rumble. I love Rumble. I love going in brawl and just every man for itself. To me, it is the lowest stress way to play PvP. Go in there. You don't have any teammates to rely on. You didn't have any coordination to work out. You don't have shit to do with nobody except shoot fans in the face. Love Rumble, and I miss it dearly.
I feel like that's definitely got to come back at some point, though, Briar. I mean, everybody loves that single player, that single man PvP mode, and I think at some point they have to reintroduce it.
I hope they do.
I feel like they can't. At what point do they realize that they have no choice? You know, it's just a multiplayer. It's a multiplayer
if you look
mode.
at the State of Destiny during Rise of Iron or State of Destiny right now, so much missing. That the players, just like I want Rumble to come back. There's they want custom matches to come back or private matches.
Yep.
To come back.
That was going to be my thing, was because I have to kind of add on to what everyone's saying here. So yeah, I would say bring back Rumble with custom matches, not private matches, fully customizable. I want to be able to. Dude, I want to go old school, man, and adjust like gravity. Remember, you could do that in some like the old Halo games. You could make gravity off the fucking charts, like just real.
You change players' health, so every gun was a one-shot kill.
Yeah, or
the possible guns that were.
Yep, only the guns, rockets only.
You could make one guy super powerful and put him up against 4 people. You know what I mean? Like, and just really fun stuff like that. Some of the most amazing game modes have come from like fully customized private games. So like, do you guys remember like zombie mode in Halo, or Infected? I think it was called. One person had the sword. They were really fast and invisible. And if they sworded someone, that person became fast and invisible. And it was, dude, around Halloween time, it was like, that's what you were playing on Halo 3, dude. You were playing Infection on some of the craziest maps. Like, and just some of the most great, like, that's like a true beer and pizza game mode. As much as I'd like to think, man, where you're eating pizza, drink, and you're trying to play because you don't really care what happens. It's all in good fun, Yeah, and I'd definitely like to see more of that. We could have some really interesting stuff, a lot of machinima and montage videos and stuff, like just little things that you can do, but go into private matches real quick to get like a really cool transition to your next, dope play or whatever. Like, it'd be really cool to get custom matches, man.
So Wilson, you alluded to the fact that we do know at least part of what's coming out in this future DLC. How do you think Bungie did with their first plans to release it? Do you think it's going to be worthwhile? Are you excited about what they're releasing?
Yeah, man, I'm really excited because it's Osiris themed, and dude, Osiris is dope, and that's not just like the Trials player in me, man. Like going back to the lore, like the speaker had like 2 people that he basically considered sons, and that was Osiris and Saint 14. And Osiris kind of became too smart, and it like worried the speaker basically, and he like outlawed him. Like they would do this thing, I forget what it's called, something Onyx, where warlocks like basically kill themselves to study the effects of the afterlife. That's like how they discovered self-res in Destiny 1.
Wow.
They would
That's
purposely
crazy.
put themselves in danger to die, so that there's all these different things that you can learn from death that normal people don't get to learn because they don't get resurrected by their ghost all the time. So like it became like an information thing, and like he dabbled in that and the Vex network and all this stuff, and the speaker said, no, dude, like he was supposed to be the next speaker basically. Like he was grooming him for command, so to speak, and he banished him and sent Saint 14 after him, and no one's ever seen either of them since. But there's been a few things in Destiny 2 that Osiris has been brought up in, and I'm actually really excited about it because I think his lore is like super deep, and I'm hoping
You think we'll see him?
I hope they use that as an excuse to tweak Trials a little bit. Now that Osiris is like, what is this, Trials? And then I'm bullshit. You're doing it all wrong. You're doing it all wrong. It's 3v3. When you're down, you're down. Like, whatever. Like,
That's awesome. I appreciate the history, man. I had no idea that ever happened. I never really read up on Destiny 1, but just hearing that, damn, makes me want to go, get on Google, and find out what the hell happened, because that's really interesting lore. Wow.
So it's much like Tolan the Shattered with he's like in the Vex or not Vex network, the Hive Nether realm. He's traveling in energy form, you know what I mean? And he's made himself known. It's the same thing with Osiris, but in the Vex network. So he's kind of like he's in time somewhere. Like, so it's some really deep shit, man. It's pretty good.
Super cool.
Huh?
Well, what do we got next up for our topics, guys?
It's going to be you, brother, with what video game genre could you live without? So do you want to tee us up with that one? I think it's a good one.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about this because, I like mostly all genres, barring very few. And I was thinking if something were to happen and all of a sudden one of them had to go and you'll never see another game, all the games in that genre just disappeared, what would I choose? And so I came up with a list. And you guys let us know in the comments too here on Twitch and on YouTube. What video game genre could you live without? And here's a list I came up with. Of course, there's more, but these are the mains. Action, adventure, shooters, first-person shooters, stealth, survival, rhythm, survival horror, fighting games, beat-em-ups, Metroidvania, real-time 3D adventures, role-playing games, MMORPGs, fantasy, I was about to say Final Fantasy, horror, racing simulators, and turn-based shooters. So it's really interesting. Now, for me, it's
turn-based.
Kind of like, I guess it would be like Pixel Junk. No, not turn-based shooters. Turn-based shooters.
I actually know of one. Doom
Hit me.
RPG. Doom RPG on the mobile phone. You can only move one square per time, shoot once, then the enemy gets its chance to move and then come up and attack you.
What's the other one that came out recently? Yeah. RTS. XCOM, yeah.
That was going to be my answer. Was I'm not a fan of sports games unless we're talking old school Nintendo, like some Sports Simulator 2000, 3000. Yeah, NBA Jam, any of that good stuff.
I haven't thought about that game in a long time.
Yeah, right. He's on fire. But the real-time strategy games, man, I can't get into. I can't. My brain doesn't work that way, man. I feel like there's a lot of math involved, a lot of calculating, and I'm more of a, jump in there and figure out if I'm going to make this work or not and then get the fuck out. And that's not really my kind of game. So I don't know what it is, man. There's some really cool ones, like Halo Wars looks dope as shit.
Yeah. I just can't do it. I can't
play it, and I fucking love the Halo universe.
I love them.
Really?
Back to... I never played the first Warcraft, but Warcraft 2, I put countless hours into that. Playing online, I don't think you could play online. I think what you had to do was actually directly dial your friend to play a match, like a 2-player match. But it was so much fun. Getting dragons, deciding is he gonna get dragons and I'm gonna get archer? Am I gonna fake do a dragon attack early, then never build a dragon again? And he'd build a shit ton of archers, then I'd swarm them with a bunch of ogres. Like that kind of stuff was so fun. RTS games, I understand there's different stories for different folks, so I'm definitely not hating.
Totally.
But I totally love RTS games. Even the StarCraft 2. Halo Wars I didn't like just
That's the Gary in you speaking.
I was going to actually apologize to you, Wilson, for saying this until I realized it was Justin who actually said he liked this game. I do not ever need to, for the rest of my life, play any racing simulators. I've never gotten into them.
Really?
Sorry, Justin. Yeah, any of them. It doesn't really matter what it is, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, anything. I've just never really gotten into them. I've never been excited by them. They've always felt just... Yes, I do.
Explain.
Too many kids for a fucking car, right?
There's like a racing simulator game that like actual racers use, and I feel dumb for even bringing it up because I can't remember the name of it.
I know what you're talking about. It's like iReal.
iRace or iRace.
Like that,
totally. My buddy straight built, and of course this is my buddy with all the arcades, because he's like the smartest person in the world. He built like an actual like cockpit racer and bought like this really expensive steering wheel and like foot pedal and had like this monitor set up, and he would stream it. Yeah, he'd have the monitors, and he'd even have like the helmet, and he'd stream it, and he'd all be in there, like, and it was really cool. Yeah, he'd put the helmet on. He'd have the gloves on and stuff. Like he'd all go sit down. He'd be like, "How's everyone doing?" He'd be putting his gloves on, put the helmet, and he'd all be like leaning into the turns and stuff. And like that stuff, I could totally get into. I like racing games if I'm at like an arcade or something. If I can immerse myself like in the cockpit. It doesn't have to be a racing game. It could be like a Star Wars like space shooter or something. You know, pod racer.
Gran Turismo 1, Gran Turismo 2 were like life impacting games for.
I bought them, Briar.
Boozin' USA was
USA was amazing.
Boozin' USA was the only time we could drink and drive.
Yeah, I absolutely love Cruising USA. Namco's. I'm trying to remember Ridge Racer.
Talking more about like the Sim.
The Sims, I just can't do. But like Ridge Racer, Cruising, I actually enjoy those. I love like Mario Kart and Pod Racers, Wipeout. Those type of games I've got into. But I don't know if the realism of simulators have taken the fun factor away from it for me, because everything has to be so on point and real that you feel like you're actually driving a real car. To me, that's not fun. I do it every day.
You don't do it fast.
Yeah. You drive fast, Beasley? Are you little pedal to the metal? Metal to the
Only when I'm alone. Only when I'm alone.
See, I can't drive fast. Dude, since I have gotten my license, I was 16 years old. I have drove my car like a fucking 90-year-old.
Expressway. First of all, what speed do you drive, Wilson?
Well, you can't afford getting pulled over looking like this. You know what I'm saying? Like the guy's got his hat.
Where's the drugs?
Where's that? Why is that bear smoking a joint on your shirt? Get out of the car, man. So I've just never been one for driving fast, so I can kind of relate, man, because I get really nervous when like they just bump the speed limit up. They just bumped the speed limit up to 70 miles an hour on the interstate here, and I can't do it, man. I've drove 65 for years, and I go 5 more miles an hour, and I'm like
terrifying.
I'm like leaning back, like,
oh man. When I got my motorcycle, when I got my current motorcycle, the speedometer maxes out at 180 miles per hour, and I'm like, it really hit that.
Fuck that.
I did it, man.
Better hope Mrs. Rabbit's not listening.
What's the fastest you've gone, bro?
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
What's the fastest you've ever gone on your motorcycle?
I pegged that 180 mile an hour speedometer out.
You can't be serious.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Have you ever watched YouTube? Don't do that shit.
I'd be shaking. Oh my God.
It was pretty fucking scary, but it was thrilling.
My nerves are too bad. And I'm with you, Wilson. I mean, down here the speed limit on 75 is 65 miles per hour, and everybody routine. This is Georgia, so everybody's in a highway to hell. They're speeding. So you got to do 75 just so people don't kill you. But anything above 75, I feel like I'm going to, have a heart attack and die. So, especially with 5 kids, I got to drive like I have 5 Miss Daisies and a wife. Yeah. So I definitely drive slow when my family's with me. So.
Gary, on the other hand, strikes me as like a little speed racer. Yeah, I could see him like before he leaves every day, he on the tires, later babe, pulls out, pulls up, races everyone at every stoplight, looks over.
Do you know what?
Look at you, rev that engine, Gary.
There's a little bonus present for you guys in our private chat, which is a moral of the story why you shouldn't drive fast. So you guys can check that picture out later. But on the topic of games, I couldn't get rid of sports games because I used to love a game called Super Baseball 2020 on the Super Nintendo, which was like robot baseball, which I've got no interest in baseball whatsoever or games of that nature, but absolutely hooked me. So I can't get rid of sports games for that matter, just for that one game. But for me, I'm going to trigger BC over there and say horror games. I could do without any horror games, could kill the genre tomorrow, wouldn't bother me. Every horror game could go survival horror, standard horror, all horror. Just get rid of it.
I would agree with you, Gary, except there's like just 1 in 100 diamonds in a rough in that genre, like Resident Evil 7 that just came out, that are absolute phenomenal games.
Resident Evil 2.
I agree.
Alien Isolation.
Dead Space.
Dude, Dead Space. Oh, can we talk about Dead Space for a second?
Fatal Frame.
That game. Okay, so in my opinion, Dead Space did an amazing job of taking the third-person shooter genre and mixing it with horror. And like, yeah, there were a few jump scares in there, but like, and like, yeah, people think those are cheap scares, which like I get. But overall, man, like that game gave me the feeling of like you are alone.
Mm-hmm.
You are not in fucking Kansas anymore. You're on some fucking planet and you feel alone, basically. And then on top of it, you're trying to find your girl, like, which is like motive. You know what I mean? That I could relate to. Like if I landed on that fucked up planet, my first thought would be to turn that ship around. But if I knew my girl was there, I would go snooping around a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought it was brilliant. I thought the motive was there. I feel like that's what a lot of horror games lack is motive. In my opinion,
games like Silent Hill 2, you know, and even newer stuff like Outlast have just been received phenomenally by fans and critics. And for me, older games like Silent Hill, the original Resident Evil 1, those games, they're just so meaningful. Especially Resident Evil, they started off the genre of survival horror with that game. And I know how you feel, Gary, that these games are terrifying, and you know you have to put your head under your wife's arm when you get ready to play them, but. Thank God you're not controlling who gets to play what down here, my friend, because we need our horror game.
For me, it's just not a. It's not a feeling that I'd prefer to have. Right? If I'm looking through all the movies and I got one that's gonna make me feel like super happy because it's comedy, and another one's gonna make me badass, you know, because it's an action movie. I got one that's gonna make me feel fucking terrified.
You don't like that. You don't like that.
It's the best feeling ever.
Okay, so I used to be, I used to be like a leap before I look kind of guy. You know what I mean? I'd climb that tree, I'd climb that wall, I'd jump off it. Now I like kind of stop to think, you know, hey, if I fall and break a finger, I'm out of work. Yeah. You know what I mean? I can't even work. Like, so nowadays I look for those kind of thrills elsewhere. You know what I mean? Something to kind of get the heart. I love getting scared, dude. Like that is a good feeling, man. Like that's called alive. Like when that adrenaline pumps in, that's your fight or flight.
Like laughing though, and that makes me feel alive.
Too. No, that does. You have to balance them, young Padawan.
I don't really need that. Like, I'm terrified shitting my pants. That side of the balance, I feel like I can.
Did you guys look? Inner Black Ninja in the comment section, and we love Inner Black here at Revolver, wanted me to bring up Dying Light, which was a phenomenal game. Came out, I believe, late 2015. Did you guys play that game? And did you enjoy it at all? I thought it was awesome.
I actually am planning on playing Dying Light 2 right around Halloween.
According to Twitch, Briar plays it all the time, even when he's not playing it.
That's true.
I mean, for me, you guys say you get that feeling of like adrenaline rush and like enjoyment and excitement when you're going to put down a horror. For me, if I just know I've got a weekend where like the wife and kid are away and I've got nothing to do and I've got a load of like junk food to eat, and you put an MMO in front of me and say I've got like 40 hours to play it, that's that same feeling of exhilaration and excitement, just looking at that 40-hour stretch and just thinking, heaven, done, I don't have to leave.
Maybe it's just like
the driving game, going around a corner and just nailing that corner.
Let me take this for a second, Wilson. I think I know where you're coming from, and I'll try to put it in the words that these guys can digest. Horror games, and to me, I feel just like you, Wilson. To me, it's a very important experience to have, and the reason I think it's a well-deserved genre and it should stick around is because that's not something you can get out of your everyday interactions. You don't go to work and get afraid. You don't drive home and are afraid, but you can go to work and laugh at jokes. You can go to work and get excited. You can go to work and hear people argue and think about fighting, right? That's stuff that happens around you all the time.
You have not seen my wife angry, my friend.
I was going to say, sometimes I drive home
there
afraid.
There is terror in this house.
Also, what the fuck sort of pharmacist do you work at to have a first-person shooter relevant at work? That's fucking crazy, man. I think we should be alerting some sort of authorities. That's the next shooter happening right there.
What did you say? Who had a first-person shooter at work?
Yeah, you said that all the rest of these things, apart from horror, you can experience at work. I'm thinking first-person shooters.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the feelings you guys are talking about having. The exhilaration of seeing something funny, the excitement of certain types of games. At first-person shooters, maybe now in America more so than before.
That's what I was saying, man.
What I'm saying is that feeling of horror is something that you never really experience unless you're in like dire straits in a life or death type of situation, which rarely happens. And so, well, you can go home and play a game that triggers a feeling you never had, knowing that you're not in any real danger. That fear becomes fun.
What it is for me, Beastly, is that like not the actual jump scare that gets me. It's the 30 minutes of like dread and something bad is about to happen, and you're sitting there, you're just worrying about it. Just like I know something bad is about to happen. When's it come? Like my heart starts to palpitate. I start like I am too. I don't know if the right word is high maintenance. I cannot just allow something to be unfixed in front of me, right? I can't. I'm not that kind of guy.
Your intuition.
So I know something's coming. I just want to get it over with already. And then what horror games and horror movies do, they just draw that
make
out,
you wait,
right? And I don't want to wait, man. I'm all about that instant gratification.
Yeah, but you're a selfish bastard. You selfish bastard.
I like that feeling of like going into an unknown place. Like we used to back in the day, we had this old.
But I just don't want to be terrified while I'm doing.
Well, here's the deal. That's what I'm getting into. So back in the day, we used to break into this insane asylum that was been shut down for a long time, and it was 6 stories, and then there was a basement sublevel, and then there was this tunnel system that spread all throughout my city. And what those tunnel systems did back in the day, it was a quick way for an ambulance to get from the insane asylum to downtown to the hospital or uptown to a different hospital. So there's all these catacombs and stuff that you can explore. And we used to go down in there with flashlights and a group of people and camcorders and all that shit and stuff. Yeah. And I can't do that anymore. Like, first of all, we were breaking the law by going into there at the time. You know what I mean? I can't afford to pay, you know, whatever trespassing, however many thousands of dollars it is now for a trespassing fine.
It's a lot.
Yeah, right. And I got to get those thrills. Like, I'm an explorer, man. Like, if I'm walking through the woods and I see a cave or something, dude, I'm going in and I'm checking it. I'm scoping it out because I like that fear of the unknown of like, should I, you know, be in here? Should I be walking across this rickety ass bridge? You know what I mean? I kind of like that. Like, there's definitely times where you're like, no, it's not smart to do that. But like, take a risk, man. I've had some of my greatest experiences in life. I've taken risks and experienced some pretty cool stuff. You know what I mean? But other times it can come back and bite you in the ass. You're right. There's nothing wrong with being too safe. And like, I totally get you with that anxiety feeling. But I feel like with horror games, long story short,
if I'm going to choose to be entertained, that's not the mode of entertainment that I choose after. With that being said, though, there are some absolutely like masterclass horror games. I think the genre of horror, is better done in video games than it because so much better at putting in the moment. As where a movie, like half the time I'm distracted at just stupid ass decisions people can get themselves into these problems in the first place. I mean, they are like absolutely games that just can't be missed. Even if they are in I don't love, they're just not to be missed.
Right.
For me, this is an easy question. As soon as I saw stealth games on this list, and I can't stand stealth. Like,
oh, come on.
It's so fucking boring.
Metal Gear Solid, though, where it doesn't have... Okay, hear me out, though. Okay, hold on. Stealth games that you had... Oh, God, we lost him.
He's gone. He's gone.
He's out. He's slouching. He fell asleep.
I stopped playing Dishonored 2 for the exact same reason. I was like, fuck this. Like, you can't just run in and kill people.
You don't have to play it that way.
If your primary objective is stealth, so like, I kind of understand where you and Gary are coming from. If you can only be stealth and not kill anyone, not a fan. But if you have the option in like Metal Gear Solid to where like you can cap a few dudes up and then try to hide the body and stuff like that, or if they do come search for you, you hide, you know, in certain areas.
Same way.
I think that's really cool. I'm with you though. I don't like what was one of the first games that came out for the PlayStation 4 that tanked? Thief.
Oh,
Briar, it's on Look, this is Steve's first introduction on the Revolver podcast. We need to timestamp this moment. This used to be a big part of our old podcast. Briar played through Thief halfway through the game, probably even further, and he had it segmented on his YouTube channel, and he just gave up and quit. And I don't know why. It seemed like he was having so much fun with that game.
Oh my God, that game was so.
Welcome to Revolver Live.
I don't mind if you give me the tools to be stealthy, as well as other tools, like more of a game more like Deus Ex or Prey or something like that. Where
this was like, remember Crisis?
Yeah, Crisis, sure. A game where you have the tools to be stealthy and to go in loud.
Mm-hmm.
But games that force you to be stealthy, oh my God, they're just so boring. There are games that, like Hitman. Hitman forces you to be stealthy, but the payoff is so fucking good in Hitman with the ridiculous shit that happens that I'm willing to like sneak around, right? I'm willing to set up that moment. But man, for the most part, just like waiting around.
Look at him.
So boring. Even Metal Gear Solid, like everybody loves Metal Gear Solid. Man, there was a lot of just like waiting around, looking at vision cones.
It's smoke.
What was that series on Xbox that real popular? Was Sam Fisher?
Splinter Cell.
Splinter Cell. Oh my god, I remember playing the first Splinter Cell and being like, "This is the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen." But fuck, is it boring?
Yeah. You didn't like the little with the night
there's
vision.
so much cool shit to it, except for the fact that I was just constantly standing still, waiting for people to walk by.
The worst thing in stealth games is the ones where they reset the level when you get seen. Oh my god! Like I've had so many of them where it's like you got spotted, back to the start. Just like, it's like any game. I hear you on that. Like for me, stealth games really, really piss me off just because it goes against what I want to do in a game. Like I don't want to be stealthy.
Right.
And I get that some people enjoy that, but yeah, for me, it's a real put off. You know, any game that forces me to do it.
I got a question. So if you remove the stealth genre, does that include games that have heavy stealth mechanics as well, or games that are only stealth? Because if you include
it
all
really
games,
depends on how it's implemented. Because if you are forcing me to sit in a dark corner and watch like multiple enemies and learn the pattern of how they walk around the level, when I have a perfectly good machine gun sitting right here.
You're no nonsense as hell, Briar. The reason I asked is because a game came to my mind, and I was wondering if that would be a victim to this all-out ban. The Arkham games, Batman Arkham Asylum, had heavy, I would say heavy stealth mechanics as well. When you jump up on a ledge and you kind of watch what these guys are doing before you jump down.
Fuck around with stealth, but eventually you're gonna have to beat those guys' asses. They came up with a combat system, literally redefined
the gaming genre.
Games. Yeah,
sure did.
So like to call that a stealth game, I think.
Okay, I'm just making sure that game was safe because I had a ball.
I'll tell you what's not safe. The Last of Us. That's a stealth game.
Motherfucker, please. You know what? I'm gonna have to get on a plane and come over there. Don't you even start with that.
Parts of that game where I was like, "Come on, how long am I gonna be just? Give me just more ammo." Everybody be happier if these guys are dead.
I don't know, man. I don't really recall much stealth in The Last of Us. I think it was more moments of just being afraid, not wanting to be fucking bitten by a cordyceps. But to each his own, I suppose. And it was a great topic. Now, let's move on to the next one, which would be... Let me see. The best video game introductions that you've ever seen. This is also my topic. And I was thinking about this because sometimes I sit here in my office and in my own mind, I wonder how I got here as a gamer and what games have meant the most to me. And there's been games since I was a kid that I didn't know much about, but upon seeing the intro of the game, I immediately went out and bought the game. And so I ask you guys in the comment section, people watching us live, what video game intros interested you and maybe stood out as some of the best you've ever seen in your life? And I'll leave the floor to you guys.
I'm going to answer this one first because obvious one everybody knows out of my mouth, but it's Destiny. You start Destiny and you're revived by your ghost. Fucking idea what's going on, why you're there. It set up the world of Destiny in a perfect way. Didn't make any fucking sense. It was really cool though, and I wanted to know more. And B, like the intro for Destiny was kind of the perfect starting off point.
Well, the first time I ever saw Destiny, they did a few live action, not just live action trailers, but they did a few live action commercials. And they actually had the dude who plays Gus Freeman on Breaking Bad. He was reading the Jungle Book to his boy, and it was the Law of the Jungle. And when he was reading it to him, it had some CG Hunter, Warlock, and Titan. They were all doing their thing on the moon. They were sniping out fallen captains and riding on their sparrows and stuff like that. And then it cuts to a scene on Mars where Hunter pops his golden gun and shoots down all these Cabal. And just the way they set that up, I remember me and Sam I don't remember what we were watching, but we were sitting there, and she looked over at me and she goes, "What game was that?" And I was like, "Right, that looked gorgeous." And then the rest, I didn't, the Bungie logo pops up. And I'm like, "Oh shit, man!" So I could definitely feel you on that one. Like, that's a good one. But if I had to pick,
it doesn't have to be one. It could be any.
No, if I had to pick a different one, and like it wasn't really much of like an intro or like a cutscene, but like the game I was probably the most hyped for in my entire life was Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past for Super Nintendo. The opening, like there's the title screen, the Triforce comes in, the Master Sword goes through it, Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, and if you didn't hit start, it kind of set up the story as to what was going on and like why you were doing what you were doing, and kind of told a little bit about like the history of like the Triforce and stuff like that. That game, I remember when I saw like Nintendo preview like that and like that intro screen, like that's all I could think about for months. And I didn't get a Super Nintendo until like 1992 of Christmas, so I was like a year behind. I think it came out in 91-ish. Could be wrong about that. I'm sure Chad will let me know, but I remember like there was a JCPenney catalog. I don't know if you guys ever did that as a kid. You'd look through the Christmas time JCPenney catalog, all the different toys and stuff. And I remember seeing a page that was completely devoted to that. And I remember I tore that page out and like took it with me everywhere. Like read it like a million times, like a weird little kid would. And that to me was huge, man, because it still played off. It still played off like the original isometric view of Legend of Zelda, but it had updated graphics, new items, obviously, things like that. But the jump from Nintendo to Super Nintendo was like, you knew it was going to be good. It's not like different consoles coming out now. Like, Nintendo, you have no idea what their next console is going to be. Could be thought control, instead of motion control. We don't know. Like, but you knew.
Its controls suck.
Yeah. It could be phallic controlled. You know what I mean? You never know. But like.
I'm down.
Yeah, but we knew going from Nintendo to Super Nintendo that it was going to be a super version of the Nintendo, and I think you had said that before, Briar. And to me, that was probably the pinnacle of gaming for me, of gaming memories.
Mr. Diaz, how about you, my friend?
So there was an immediate obvious choice that was there, but I've kind of actually had one this week that might have unsettled it. But it's a really understated choice. So I'll go with the obvious one first. And that's any Bioshock 1 or Bioshock Infinite. I was going to say any one in the series, but 2 was kind of didn't have the same impact. It was a slightly different tone they went for. But that first time of landing in the water and then, getting onto the lighthouse and going down and seeing Rapture and then walking into it. And the second time when you get shot up in the air and you see Columbus, is it?
Yeah,
Columbia?
So.
New Columbia.
So, yeah.
It is the city in the clouds, and you see all that and you go through like the religious imagery and you get baptized, and that to me was really powerful and set me up to. I knew what I was going in for. I was immediately intrigued. I saw the entire city that I'd be playing in, and then it let me dive into the city. You saw the play zone both in the underwater and the city in the clouds. So that was what I was thinking. But this week I actually had the pleasure of playing Oxenfree on the Nintendo Switch. And I know it's an old game. Oxenfree's been out for a long time on PC, on Steam. I've actually owned it for a long time on Steam. I just haven't got around to it. But having it on the Switch, Oxenfree is an indie game, 2015. It should have won Game of the Year then. It's a travesty it didn't. Witcher stole it. But now, looking back at it, it's a fantastic supernatural thriller. So it's not a horror game, but it's a supernatural thriller of some teens that have gone to an island, like you say, Wilson, when you go to like a place that's shut down, like an old military base or something. Edwards Island is the place it's called, and just some unusual things start to happen. But the way that dialogue's handled in that game and the way that the teens talk to each other just feels like a real conversation between people, and you're getting like new family ties discussed, and the way that they're talking with each other, and people that don't necessarily want to be there, and who's going to go to the party, and the way it unravels. And for me, it just felt like I was watching just a really, really interesting teen movie, from the 80s, something of that nature that's kind of felt really, really good. And it set the tone for the rest of the game, the way it played through, and had me immediately invested in characters that I knew nothing about. They just felt real and felt human. But yeah, Oxenfree. got
half
that.
of
So.
it.
Really?
Yeah,
You've
man.
missed out, man. You got to put in like about 400 or 500 hours before you start getting to the meat of that game. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Oxenfree is definitely worth picking up on the Switch. It's a
It
great game.
sounds like it. I think I've heard of that before, and I've never even seen it. But your synopsis there has really piqued my interest. You said you had a runner-up too, as well. What other game were you thinking about?
That was it. It was the
That was it.
Bioshock series, and then
Yeah.
Oxenfree. I'd say I didn't even know. I knew it existed, but I knew it was good. But with indie games, me being the elitist snob I am, I tend to write them off. And just if someone tells me this is a great indie game, like Axiom Verge on the Switch, I've heard Axiom Verge is like an amazing shoot 'em up, Metroidvania style game.
Mm-hmm.
Meant to be amazing, but again, I've written it off. So it might be something I revisit.
Completely developed by a single man too, as well.
Yeah.
All right, so I got a couple I wanted to talk about, maybe 3 or 4 that come to mind that have always been important to me as a gamer. The first one that comes to my mind is not Shadow of the Colossus. Shadow of the Colossus. I'm thinking of their new game, but Shadow of the Colossus came out on PlayStation 2. I want to say in the mid '90s. And this game, when I first saw the intro or the introduction scene before I even purchased the game, of you as this character named Wanderer going through this huge, vast land on this beautiful horse, this fantastic steed, and you had a young maiden on your horse as well, and he's just going, miles and miles and miles, and he finally gets to this huge temple. And he brings her inside the temple and lays her down. And of course, they're speaking in this game in a dialect that's different than any real language here on Earth. But you see the subtitles and you understand the catastrophe that's happened and what he's asking for. And this girl is obviously dead. And the things that he has to do in order to bring her back. I just felt at that moment, watching the intro for this game, that there was so much more that was unexplained that I had to see. That was a good example for me of a game that I didn't know much about, but upon seeing the introduction to it, it laced my mind with enough question that I knew I had to go out and purchase the game. There have been games like that, God, throughout my memory for years. The Last of Us, of course, we all know the intro of that game was very important, and it kind of laid the groundwork for what we could expect for the rest of the game. That was a great intro as well. I won't spoil it for people who haven't played it. But when I think about my past in gaming, I think about some older games, and notably some fighting games. I remember the Soul Calibur game that came out in the arcade that just showed these characters fighting, and it showed kind of the story of what was going on. And on the PlayStation 1, the original Souls game called Soul Blade, it had some of the best CG that I've seen ever at that point in time. For Soul Blade, it kind of laid the foundation of what was happening in these people fighting. I just saw it. I was a teenager. I was like, wow. It was so beautiful that I had to just go out and buy the game. Mega Man 8, just these intros that just, in my mind, just seeing them, I was like, okay, this is definitely a game I'll buy. I might waste my money. I might regret it later. But the intros alone just pulled me in. Resident Evil 2. They're just flying into my mind right now. These games.
Final Fantasy 7. Remember the intro to that? That really showed off the PlayStation 1 power. Like
8 was good too. 8 was really good.
Great, man.
Actually, I like Squall's story, the intro of 8 more than Final Fantasy 7. When Squall had that fight at the beginning of Final Fantasy 8, oh my God, it plays through my mind.
Cool, man. But there's 7. There's 7. Hold on, let me put it so everyone can see it here. And then there's like other.
Well, look, let me just say this. The story
games.
of Squall and Renoa, the actual story of Final Fantasy VIII wasn't as good as 7's, but the intro for sure was better.
I'll give you that.
The intro as well with that like church music and stuff. Yeah.
When during that fight was definitely better, and the ending was better than Final Fantasy VII's as well. Hey man,
I'm just saying the intro, dude. You saw Midgar, you hear the train, it's all public, and then you see Eris, like, dude, my first video game crush.
Yeah, she walked out of the flower
ever.
shop, and then you see the train, you see Cloud jump out. That was cool, but I'm talking about just the CG at the beginning of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, you're right.
And the ending of Final Fantasy VIII, when you see the things that have happened to these characters and how they've progressed and they've lost and they've loved and all this shit that's happened, it kind of brings a tear to your eye. You see Squall and Renault at the end on their airship, and he walks out to her and he grabs her hand.
Yeah, but
I swear, thinking about that shit now makes me want to cry.
An intro for a Final Fantasy game until you saw the one for 15, and the ending, Beastly, you saw it.
No, I didn't.
Oh, that's right. You never.
You sack of
Dude, the beginning. You're right, man. That song. You're. Can we talk about the
Stand By
intro?
Me.
To find,
Stand
yeah,
By
can
Me
we talk
intro,
about
sick.
that? Where like the car breaks down and everyone has to get out and
Screw
push
you,
and
Briar.
They get. You gotta play that, Beastly. It's so good. You're pushing the car, and all of a sudden you hear the doom 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 doom.
Really? They actually have a
Yeah.
real song? on it?
No,
Yeah.
no, it's not. It's done by someone else, but it's fantastic. I mean, it's the lyric. Check it out, dude. It's so good. Like
It's a female
it really.
artist, isn't it? Is it,
I'm
is it
still
laughing
Florence
at
and the
Briar.
Machine? Is it? I think it is Florence and the Machine that sings that version.
What's
I
the
think.
last game I cried in? Was Final Fantasy 15. Man.
Actually, you
If
know
we
what?
can
Final
flex
Fantasy
that.
games, they
I'm a
do that to you,
sensitive
man.
I'm a
If we
sensitive
can
man.
flex the topic as well, man, there's actually a really underappreciated, a terrible, terrible movie. Actually, probably not underappreciated. It is terrible, but with one of the best intros. That actually, just if you watch the intro, you've seen better than the whole movie delivered. Was Wolverine Origins, right? If you've ever seen Wolverine Origins, the first 2 minutes of it, just watch that, and you've seen a better movie than the rest of the sort of 87 minutes of it. It's got like Wolverine going from like every battle that he's been in American
Yeah.
history with Sabretooth at his sides. They
That
go
was
through
really
like
cool.
it's so good. Transition in
was.
like sepia paint, where he's like going through the War of Independence, then he goes through like the the Civil War, then into World War One, then World War Two, then Vietnam, and it's like so good. And then the movie's shit.
And
But
then
then
and that's the one that had the Deadpool Ryan Reynolds with his
Yeah.
mouth sewed up and
Yeah.
laser eyes and all that. Yeah.
But then the first, and the same as Watchmen. Watchmen was a good movie as well, but the first 2 minutes with Bob Dylan, the times they were changing of Watchmen, when you've
Yeah.
got that jingle going through, and,
Yeah.
and let's just watch intros for
Yeah, I
movies for
like
the rest of this show.
watching dick in it. No.
It was a fair
No,
bit of
I saw
dicking.
that on the big screen, and that dong was
Yeah,
huge,
little.
man. It would give Beastly a run for his money. I'm just.
I don't know
was
what
so
size TV
blue.
we talking about.
And I had flashbacks of Zavala with that big blue dick swinging up there, man. That was
Oh
big,
man,
big.
that's.
All right.
Follow up
Next
with the
topic
big-
is get $1,000 to spend on a vehicle. Right. So a little introspective, but really, what I'm doing here is look at this. Like, what kind of vehicle would you buy, and your like life priorities? Why would you buy a vehicle? To spend, it has to be $50,000. Saying like, if imagine every car costs.
Shit.
You're
I'd be on the
spending-
bus.
Buying a car, what are you buying? Like, what are your priorities? What do you want out of a vehicle? What are your priorities in life right now?
I know exactly what I'd pick.
What are you picking?
A fucking DeLorean, dude, is the only choice, dude. I want doors that go like that. You know, not this.
Are you gonna
want
like have
this.
it like customized so it looks?
Hell yeah, dude! I'm getting a flux capacitor, dude. That might even be my license
wait,
plate
wait.
number. Figure out how to
Are you
abbreviate
getting-
it, right?
Are you getting Back to the Future 1 DeLorean or Back to the Future 2 DeLorean? So is it going to run on
One-
trash or
this
is it going to
one's
run on
superior,
like
'cause-
plutonium?
Because one is the superior Back to the Future film, followed by
No.
second, then 3. It goes in order
Two.
of greatness.
3 was
213. 213.
No.
1 was good, but 2 was
Two was
better.
two was
Three was
good,
the
but like
Western?
one.
3 wasn't good.
Yeah, 3 wasn't that good to me, Wilson.
No, I didn't know. I'm saying one's the
Saying one, two,
best,
three.
two's
Yeah,
the
1,
second
2, and
best,
3, yeah,
third
for
is the
sure.
worst.
I don't ever have to. I don't even acknowledge part 3 as being in the canon. It just wasn't really that good to me.
Could you imagine rolling up to the party in a DeLorean with a license plate that says "out of time"? Like that would be amazing, dude. Like,
Rolling.
and why? What are my goals toward getting this card? So I could become a time traveler. Obviously, I would go back. I'd
Fair,
fix it.
that's fair.
I'd fix a few things, like the day I decided to join this podcast, and then let's see what else. Maybe the day I met Gary. I don't know though. I need some English muffin in my life. I don't know where. But no, DeLorean would just be dope. Like even if I had like the little canister on the back that I could just like at a stoplight randomly jump out and like start pouring trash in for no reason, just to like freak people out next to me, like that'd be amazing.
It
Like
would be. I love it. I love it. Who's got an answer? Beastly?
Well, I don't shop for cars in this price range because I got enough kids. I need to just stay. $2,000 used bucket. That's what I need. But if I had $50,000 to spend on a vehicle, my dream car would be the 2017 Cadillac XT5 Luxury All-Wheel Drive Edition. It's $47,000.
XT.
It's a Cadillac SUV. Yeah, and it's beautiful. It's all leather and it has every amenity you could ever want inside of a car. I think it has a toilet in the passenger seat. But you don't want to be next to a person when they use it. No, it's certainly my favorite brand of vehicle. I love Cadillac. That's what I've always driven. I had older Cadillacs. I recently sold one, and if I were to upgrade, it would definitely be that. I don't know having enough room for all my kids. My boys are old enough that they can meet me there, I guess. I just say,
Take a
here's.
cab.
Wait,
I
See
bought
you
you those
later.
new sneakers. Use them, motherfucker.
Yeah, they're in the living room watching right now. Hey, look, man, you're 17 and 16. Hit the road, bitches.
I'm still
here's
hung
some
up
money for
on
the
this.
bus.
This car has a bathroom, so it has like a built-in bedpan.
No, that's a joke. That's a joke.
Oh, okay.
If
Because
you sold a car with a toilet, would you want it?
well, no, check it out. Because I knew a dude who tried that one time. He had a hole in his floorboard, and he tried putting like a hose that you'd do like a beer bong out of or something, and he tried putting it.
You wanted to try and piss out of the car without stopping?
Yes, because he was on the road a
Amazing.
lot. Now,
Uh-huh.
here's
That's
the problem with that is that if you do dip the hose out, don't have it angling forward so that when you piss, all the air blows
No!
it back up
Oh, okay,
into
okay.
you, and then that's
maybe
what
it
happened.
got jammed on.
No,
Damn.
he went to pee in it. He went
It
to
went
pee in
right
it,
back
and
in his
then
dick.
he peed all over himself.
Yeah, the force from
True
the
story.
air pushed all the piss back down the tube, right back into his dick.
True story. Not into
Jesus.
him, onto him.
Into him
That-
sounds a bit better, to be honest.
I like the Cadillac idea. Like driving slow, you're relaxed.
Yeah.
Cadillac, basically the liners, the circle line.
Yeah, man. Oh,
So comfortable. I like that idea. I had a CTS. I think it was a DTS. DTS is the big one, right?
yeah.
I had one of those for a weekend because I had dropped my car off at the dealership, and that's all they had as a loaner. They gave 20-year-old me a Cadillac DTS, and we
Amazing.
went
Damn.
out. We went
Hell
out.
yeah, you did in
It's fucking
style.
awesome. Man. I love that car though. It was just like drive as slow as possible all week. Just
Yeah.
relax. It felt like you were just like lounging it. Like,
It's like driving a cloud.
yeah.
Well, I hate to tell you that you're all equally incorrect.
Uh-huh.
What you need, and this is my choice, the largest kind of Winnebago style vehicle that I could possibly have. I mean, I'm talking a coach, effectively. But you guys say meet the parents or meet the Fockers, whatever one it was,
Yeah.
that he turns up in that fucking armored vehicle thing.
Yeah.
And that you do have a toilet on. You got a shower,
Yeah.
a bedroom,
TV, satellite.
yeah, all that shit. And then you've got two nice passenger seats up front. So anywhere is your bedroom. You don't have to have a house anymore. So you save money there. It's frugal. As long as it's got a good internet connection, I'm set. Really, that's kind of my new home.
Well, if you
So for
park
me-
it somewhere with a get one.
I don't know though, Gary. I mean, for $50K, do you think you could get you a nice Winnebago?
We were just told that 50K gets me anything. So
Yeah,
I think it's
every
about
car costs 50K.
Well, shit, I want a spaceship.
Well, there's
you-
your answer.
All right,
and
Gary,
you
so
better not
I have a little experience with these, and they're
Okay.
amazing. Okay? Like, the time spent in it is awesome. You have a shower at the, like literally accessible to wherever you are. Like, no matter what your lifestyle, a Winnebago is amazing, or a camper van, or whatever form of this. One huge problem that has kept me from ever purchasing, and that is septic tank.
be.
really.
Yes. At some point, you're going to have to empty that fucker. And it's just not a job I'm willing to do.
But could you not find a Mexican at a gas station that'd do that for you for a few dollars?
Aren't you
Surely.
Mexican, Gary?
Yeah, I can. I can make as many racist jokes about the Latinos as I want because it's
I'll do it for
basically
$10.
it's self-deprecating at the moment. At that point there, I could, I'm pretty much asking myself to do it. But yeah, surely there's a gas station clerk who'll do that shit for you.
Oh yeah,
For the
you
right
can get
amount of
these
money.
things for like
Ain't nobody wants
$33,000.
to- nobody wants to pump out of that thing. Nobody.
No. What about if you made a
The way
rule
I
that you
do it
don't
is
shit in the
Dude,
Winnebago?
a lot of people do make no deuce in the deuce
In
and the, you know what I
Connecticut,
mean? Like,
There's two ways you can do it. You can bring it to somebody who will put it out, charge you for it. Or you can go to a rest stop. There's a couple of rest stops, I think, on 84. Yeah. So they basically have these pits in the ground, and you got to hook up a hose to your
Tank.
tank, and then you run the hose to the pit, and then gravity basically drains this. Sometimes
You don't
You know,
drain it all the
work
way.
that hose a little. You know?
Oh.
Get that blockage out of there.
Oh.
Or if it's already full and then
Uh-huh.
like you accidentally dip into it.
No.
You know what I
No.
mean?
No,
like
no.
so it's a
That's foreign
hazmat.
poopy.
I'm
I
willing.
gotta watch some
My
YouTube
poop
videos
doesn't freak
about
me
this.
out. Other people's poop freaks me out.
Yeah.
I'm willing to just not shit in the Winnebago. There's a rule that no one shits in the
No one
Winnebago.
shits
It's
in the
done.
Winnebago.
If it's
It's
all
like-
you want, that's fine. But you can stop at a gas station and you shit in their place. We stop at McDonald's, you shit there. You don't shit in the Winnebago. Problem solved.
There you go.
Only person allowed to shit in your Winnebago is you.
Not even
You
me.
make those-
I'm not massaging
no,
my
you
own
don't
shit
even,
out of a
You
tube.
don't even want to deal with it, man.
So there's
You
something
wanna
else
do-
on the docket here. It says, you get $50,000 to get, whatever car. Doesn't
Yeah.
have to be a car. It also says can be a creepy school bus. And I wanna clarify that not every bus is creepy, because I think that would probably be my second choice. And it's not even a bus that runs. I would like a broke down bus that doesn't run, take the wheels off, get everything out of it, all the seats,
Turn
and
into a tiny house.
turn it into like the hippie lounge, man, like bean bags, lava lamps, black
Really?
light posters, LED
Marijuana?
lights, all the I mean,
Wait. So I just
I
want
mean-
to clarify. You're not buying this school bus. You're not picking up any kids in this school bus before you start taking them on this drug-addled station, are you?
Wilson's got a wizard painted on the outside of this thing. There's shag carpeting from floor to ceiling.
the thing doesn't drive, but for some reason a couple hours a night I get up there in that driver's seat. You know what I mean? I
some
open up the
reason.
door, where you going, man? Like
I think I've
No, I
seen
think
one
that'd
of
be
them at
dope as
Burning
shit,
Man.
man. Like bring back the bean bags. Those were dope, man. And if like, here's the problem with bean bags nowadays, is that like, first of all, you're not a kid, but secondly, there's not enough bean bags for everyone to have one. I felt like when you have some people sitting on the couch and like one person's feeling left out on a bean bag, if you got a bus with all this cool shit, nothing but bean bags, everyone's just kind of lounging and chilling. Like everyone's on. I'm
Man,
all
if you
about
got,
like that Japanese.
If you got 6 bean bags all in a circle, then everybody's equal. If you got 4 people sitting on a couch, but one person, he's like, why am I like the kid at this party sitting on a bean bag all like back,
Man, yeah, it's much more like intimate and on the same level. It's kind of like Japanese culture where they they eat on the floor, like not on the floor, but like they don't. God damn it, Gary.
I know.
They don't.
We've lost our one Japanese fan there.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
No,
sorry, my bad.
I think it's a
culturally
beautiful costume.
insensitive.
Japanese people are amazing, and beanbags are
Saying.
awesome because if you got enough of them, your wife can fall asleep in your lap every day. It's great.
Like, how cool would that be?
So-
I mean, maybe I have different terms of cool compared to you guys, but I
I
think
just want to summarize. If we gave Wilson 50k for a car, he'd spend it on a room to get high in. That's kind of what we established.
Sick.
the
That's
bus
awesome.
only cost me $1,000. What do you think I'm spending another 49 grand on, bro?
He's got 50k and he's like, you got a gutted school van somewhere that I could just get high in?
It doesn't even run. That's not one of the requirements.
Just let me chill here, man. Let me get it to my place.
Just let me be.
Let me get my mind straight, man. It's all right. I've got
You
some
said the
bean
van
bags.
cost him $1,000. What's the other 49? Do your thing, Wilson.
I've
I
got
like the way you
visions of,
think, brother.
old carpet samples stapled to the windows. Just, that's
You
Carpet
guys are looking
samples.
for me next week. You know where to find me. All right, I'm in the bus. Like,
Is that bus on fire?
not going. Yeah.
great.
That's
Oh,
Well, we-
shit.
I think we've got the best answer for that question.
Yes, clearly.
Definitely.
All right, we got to move on to gamer tags. How not to be. I gotta run to the bathroom, guys.
All right. Well, one of you guys.
Okay.
Who? First of all, who submitted this topic?
So I can warm this one up. This actually came from Blandy McBlanderson, which I really like as a
Andy.
gamer tag himself, and put this question forward. I'm going to read it in full, which gives Briar time to empty the lizard. This was the email that we had on Gmail from Blandy. He said, I was hoping that you guys could provide a service to the Revolver community. Some of us have children who are at an age where they're facing perhaps the really most important decision of their lives, choosing their first gamer tag or PSN ID.
True.
As parents, we want to help our kids avoid creating online names that our kids think are cool, but in fact will make them sound like douchebags. Which elements in a gamer tag should a parent veto unequivocally? Is having 420 in a gamer tag ever excusable? Is it okay to have MLG keywords in a gamer tag if they really are a no-scope sniper god? With absolutely no reference to any member of this esteemed podcast, I ask, is having your first and last name, including your date of birth, smart or just an act of idiotic self-doxing? I think that may be a slight swipe at me, but he also does redeem himself, Blandy, by saying he usually defends American culture against foreign criticism, but I was absolutely right, and public restrooms should go to the floor with floor-to-ceiling partitions. So what do we think of Blandy's topic? What is acceptable in a gamer tags? You know, I think Briar, you've seen a few gamer tags out there that you probably want to start some comments on. So if I rolled up to you and I had XX Bag of Dicks XX in my gamer tag, what would you say to me?
I would say thank you for making the Bag of Dicks reference 3 consecutive podcasts.
Here we go.
Bag of Dicks reference in 3 podcasts. Have you been carrying Bag of Dicks for 3 podcasts? Why? Please elaborate.
The RezoCast was on Wednesday. DCP was on Thursday. Today on Sunday, we have another Bag of Dicks reference.
And there's no shame on this podcast, so we can dive in to that bag of
What
dicks.
type of bag are you using today?
Well, that's the question, Beasley. What kind of bag are you using? If you had a bag of dicks, or if somebody were to give you a bundle of dicks that needed bagging, what kind of bag would you?
Something soft.
Something soft.
Yeah.
Or not even what would you choose? If someone told you to eat a bag of dicks, what in your mind does the bag containing said dicks look like?
Sweaty.
Bloody.
Kind of material?
Material? For some reason, I'm seeing leather.
Something.
Leather.
Yeah. I mean, if you got a bag of dicks, I mean,
it's the same as your Cadillac's interior.
Yeah, sitting on the passenger seat. Hey, man, nice whip. What the fuck is on your? It's a bag of dicks, buddy.
I don't know why this comes to mind for me. Or if
the car wasn't free. You know what I'm saying?
If I apparently have like some sort of subconscious thing for Santa Claus, but I picture like Santa's bag.
Santa's sack of dicks?
Yeah, like that's a big bag of dicks. Like if anyone's gonna, and those are worldwide, dude. He's been all over.
Yeah, you get the
international
little ones
house
from
of
Japan.
International bag of dicks.
See, I've immediately gone darker. When you say a bag of dicks, I immediately think of severed penises. So for me, it's like a brown paper bag with like you've just been to the butcher's. You've got like a load of kosher meat, like a bag of calamari or like lamb's kidney sort of sitting there. You just got kind of severed, flopped over penises in a paper bag. That's kind of what's coming to mind for me. I'm not seeing
a
these.
burlap sack, you know, like where
they don't put
literally the juices of the recently severed dick draining out the bottom of the burlap sack.
But he said
an itchy hemp sack.
Yeah, I'm saying a paper bag. Like, you guys don't have butchers there that put your meat in like cling film, like like that thing, and then they put it in like an alcoholic. Yeah, like an alcoholic drinking out of a brown paper bag, to hide their shame. To me, it's I've just bought.
It's not to hide their shame. It's so you don't get arrested for public drinking. It's so they can't prove what you're drinking by.
For me, I've just gone into the dick butcher and I've ordered like a quarter pound of severed penis, and I just I'm not too proud of it. I want to get that home and goulash those peni. So I'm just trying to get this right.
I feel like I want double straps to carry my dick. I don't want to like be wrapping. It gets tired on the constantly. The backpack is with the waist strap. Right, that's a pound. My bag of dicks.
Maybe something from like Gander Mountain, like a mountain backpack.
Oh yeah, got plenty of room for all the dicks you could fit.
Could Sherpa all the dicks up to the mountain.
Put in like a hunting bag or something like you use when you go, deer hunting or something. That way, nobody could tell what you're doing. To be totally
how about like a gun case?
Nobody would be able to tell.
There's only one dick in there, so it's only a bag of dick.
Be like Antonio Banderas with dicks inside
mariachi style, man. That'd be good.
Yeah, guitar case.
Just drop them down. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Now, just so you guys know, I'm not like the rest of the hosts here. The only reason I'd ever go into a butcher shop and order a bag of dicks is so I could dick houses. Kind of the way they egg houses, but that would be my only use for a bag of dicks.
That would be amazing. Could you imagine slapping a penis against a window from a distance?
I just throw them through the window.
You said dick houses for some reason. I pictured houses made out of dicks. I didn't think that you meant like throwing the dicks at the houses.
Or mischief night, whatever you call it, would be hilarious if you had a bag of dicks throwing those things up in trees. And
yeah, you run up and put it inside like the little door knocker.
No, you throw it at
Oh,
you
somebody
throw it at
cuts you
the
off in traffic, you just throw a dick at him?
Yeah, right in the window.
throw it
Right
at
in the
all
window.
at the most homophobic guy in town, so you have to go out there and make fun of him picking him up because he's like, ugh.
One mailbox in that
Just-
motherfucker's dick every morning. Or
Yeah.
one in his
You could-
mailbox every morning.
You could undo your zipper and hang one out of it and scare people without getting done for public indecency because it's not your dick.
It's not
Just
mine.
kidding.
Hey, that's my saying every time I get pulled over. It ain't mine.
Yes. Could you imagine tearing it off in front of someone, just pulling it out? Yeah, done.
Leave it
Oh,
under your
man.
wife's pillow as a subtle hint.
No,
The dick fairy?
You know
Just walk up to like a cat with it in your. Can you
What
imagine
if
like
you
a?
think-
what would you get
fairy?
in exchange? What would you get in exchange for leaving that under your pillow?
I'm thinking an old fashioned.
Oh,
Yeah,
maybe
you just
maybe
wake
a
up and your
custom,
pillow's going up and down like this.
maybe a custom revolver condom. I don't know.
Yeah.
We need to
Custom
make that
revolver
happen.
condoms.
Yeah.
Stay
All right,
tuned, guys.
we should probably get back to the original question at hand here.
Before we
And-
do that, I just want to say that if I did have a bag of dicks, I would fuck people up by putting them in my pants, and I'd pull out a white one and just smile at whoever the lady
that is
is.
the ultimate mind fuck.
Yeah, literally.
Could make a lot of money. But anyway, you had said specific
Sorry,
game.
Nick Anderson. We have stepped away, but we are back to
Yeah,
discuss.
I'm bringing us back in. We got a little sidetracked, but it was totally necessary. We had to do it. You had talked about gamer tags that had stood out.
420.
And there's a bunch that I don't feel comfortable repeating, but some of the ones that I do feel comfortable repeating. And Briar, I know you're gonna love this one. Remember Hobbit Weed 420?
That was the best gamer tag I've ever seen. All other gamer tags are just pale imitations of this gamer tag.
It was Hobbit Weed
However
420.
creative you
Yep.
thought you were when you made your gamer tag, you're about half as creative as Hobbit Weed 420.
It's true, man. It's kind of hard to top that pinnacle. Like, do you guys have? I know I don't want to put anybody on the spot. You don't have to answer this question, but are there any that like stand out?
Well, look, let me just say this, and I'm not proud of it. My kids are watching this right now, and I shouldn't have done it. I don't know why I did it because I was completely sober when I gifted my teenage sons these names. I actually created these names in an MMO called Silk Road Online, but I created two PSN IDs for them. One is "I'ma fuck you up," and it's spelled
Wait a minute.
IMAPH. Let me finish. IMAPHUKYOUUP. It's my
You
it's
made
Brandon.
a PSN called "I'ma fuck you up,"
Yes.
and then you gave it to your child.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Let's
Now
move on.
this is not only this is also
We just
why
wanted to
she
clarify
let
that.
them
So.
change because look they don't even they can't take credit for it and they think it was the coolest thing. I gave it to them when God it had to have been 4 years ago. So my kids were like 11 and 12, and the other son got Badmuphukka spelled the same way.
So which one's bad motherfucker and which one's gonna fuck you up? Because I need to,
Badmuphukka is my oldest son who's 16. And I'm gonna fuck you up is Brandon, my 15-year-old,
Right.
and I don't feel like I'm able to answer this question.
Right, from now on, basically, if we ever do trials as a team,
I
you
want
and
that,
Kate are
that
playing
one.
on those two PSN accounts. They're coming into
Yours
our
on the
team.
PSN.
I'm
accounts,
gonna
I
fuck
want.
you up on my side.
Right?
That's
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
bad motherfucker on my team.
Bad
I think we
motherfucker.
should all be bad motherfuckers.
which
Because-
PSN's yours? The one that say bad motherfucker on it.
I mean, one day they could really love it. Actually, they love it now. Their friends think that they're bad motherfuckers, but they can't even they can't even say the word. So it's like they're living a lie. Living
That's
a lie.
hilarious.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm so sorry, Blandy. I can't answer your question because I'd be perpetrating like a motherfucker.
The only ones I actually have a problem with, I don't really get offended by names online unless they're like Nazi related or racism related.
It's derogatory.
I usually just report them and don't think about them ever again. But
Mhm.
I do enjoy the funny ones. Bad motherfucker is a pretty funny one. Hobbit weed, is funny, but my kids actually came up with a couple of good. One was Darth Puddin', Darth like Darth Vader, but the second word is
That's
puddin'.
cool. Yeah.
I thought
That's
that was
cool.
pretty good. And the other one was Phase Sweaty, like Phase the.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that was pretty creative.
Yeah. Yeah. That is good.
Those are funny. Yeah, that's not something you're gonna regret. Like, Ultra Killer 6'9", 420,
Right.
all up in your mama.
Yeah.
The best
Yeah.
I've ever seen, and again, it's just in passing. I remember the name because I found it quite funny. Was he'd done a play on Dunkin' Donuts and he had Dunkin' D's nuts, and I thought that was pretty good.
Good.
That to me stuck my head, and I hope he teabags every single kill that he ever makes.
That's awesome.
Unfortunately, Blandy, I just don't think we're mature enough to take this topic seriously.
True.
I feel like having your child make a PSN name is your opportunity to troll them. Just do the most trolly shit that you know they're going to regret the rest of their life, and be amused every time they log on and tell
Right?
someone that PSN name.
I feel
Now,
like you
real quick
right?
though, Blandy, let me just say this: having 420 in your gamer tag as a parent is probably not something you want your kids to do, because when they become an adult and they go out into the workforce and they're in college and college, they probably are going to be talking about 420 a lot. But when they get out of college and they pick a career, they start working and become a professional in the workforce, and they want to play a game with their boss or play a game with their coworker, and they log into PSN. It's like, which player are you? 420 forever.
Badmuphukka, of course.
It all
That's why.
started. It all started when he chose the gamer tag Snipes 420. Now he's hanging out in the school bus with a bunch of beanbag chairs. This guy, I don't fucking know.
That sounds like a cool guy. I want to hang out with him. As long as he's actually using a fucking sniper rifle, though, and not a damn matador or something.
He's in the wizard bus. He's in a private lobby with Badmuphukka, and I'ma fuck you up.
These
where did
kids
it go wrong?
nowadays, man. These kids.
Where did
Yeah.
it go wrong? I remember when you used to play with Gary Diaz 86. Those were the days.
I just
Yeah.
own it. That's how you find out if your boss is cool.
Yeah, you
You know
find
what I mean?
out.
Maybe
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, your name is Crazy
Well-
X Snipes 420. What's up, dude?"
Hugo in chat had another good one that I hadn't thought of in a long time.
Oh,
Bilbo
yeah.
T Baggins. That
Mhm.
is a good gamer tag. Bilbo T Baggins.
Him and Hobbit Weed 420 have to be.
Yeah, they have to meet.
No, they have to be friends. There's no way you have two very similar but yet awesome
Lord of the
gamer
Rings
tags.
style names. Yeah.
That's probably somebody that's probably somebody like Beasley that they named their kids' accounts those Bilbo T Baggins and Hobbit Weed 420.
I feel so bad, but somehow I feel like they're more awesome than their contemporaries.
Right?
What's your name? I'm Bad Motherfucker. Yeah, bitch. my brothers, I'm gonna fuck you up.
You
Can I
gave
get a
them the
spelling
best
on
of
that?
names.
How do you spell bad motherfucker?
It's BADMAPHUKKA.
Oh, nice. Got away with that.
Yeah.
Got away with
Yeah.
it.
The,
I
that's the
figured it out
Twitter
playing
safe
Silk
way.
Road, because Silk Road, you can't name your character anything lewd either. And so, I'm a fucking idiot. Those are my characters' names on Silk Road. And so I stopped playing that game, and I was like, I could, you guys want my Silk Road names? And they were like, oh, you're going to gift us those names? I was like, yeah, I'll gift them to you,
I
son.
can't believe
Well-
they named a game after a website. The Silk Road.
Yeah, definitely.
Did the game come out first, or I take it the game
It wasn't
came
named
out
after
first
the
and then
website. It was named after the actual Silk Road. It wasn't because of the
You had
website.
me confused there for a sec. The first time he said, it, I'm like, oh no way, I know what he's talking about. It just blew my mind that there's just similarities there. It's just
If Sony ever
Could've
give us
picked
the
a
name
different name.
changes, you guys are gonna have to get used to calling me Bad Motherfucker, because that's now stolen. That's mine. I've
Yeah, right.
bookmarked it.
I am
It's
ready
happening.
to appropriate that.
Conman in chat actually has the wallet from Pulp Fiction, the one that says "bad motherfucker" on it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
That's what I was
It's-
referencing when I was like,
it's-
"Which one's yours?" The one that
I
says
am now
"bad
going onto
motherfucker" on it.
Amazon as we speak to see if that's available.
Amazon.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
I'll
I'm
say
gonna
it,
fuck
it's
you
a-
up pretty bad, but Bad
Yeah,
Motherfucker's
bad
the baddest.
motherfucker though. That's something.
Yeah, well, you guys, my kids are in the living room smiling right now. Right? And
He's a
you're
man.
welcome, kids. You owe me when you grow up and get jobs.
$23.50 on it. Ooh, there's one $17. Prime.
So the one that's $5 more has free delivery. Who'd have thought?
Yeah, right.
It's almost like that $5 is the delivery. Yeah.
Delivery cost. That's how capitalism works. All right, so the next topic, I don't know whose topic this is, but it says, what piece of technology from the last 5 years has been the most impressive? Now, the stipulation is one piece of tech that has really made an impact. Who wants to go first? First of all, whose topic is
I wanted to talk about this a little bit before we started going. I made it 5 years because I was trying to eliminate cell phones from this. I think it'd be hard not go with. I wanted to eliminate internet But you can definitely choose something that's on the internet. But I was trying to narrow it down to get away from self.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go first if you don't mind. My e-cigarette.
Hey.
You know, say whatever you want. Oh, e-cigarettes are just as bad as cigarettes. You've never smoked a day in your life, dude. If you're saying that, I'm just gonna throw that out there. Like, no doctor has come out and put their physical name on a report saying that these are more harmful for you than cigarettes. Are they perfect? Are they completely unharmful? No, I'm sure they're not. It's a crutch. I'll lean on it. I used to smoke 2 packs a day, and I haven't had a single cigarette since I picked one of these up. I can feel the difference. 5, maybe 6 years since I've had one. And it's still a crutch, though. Like, I'm still on it. Like, I get it. I'm leaning on it. You know what I mean?
But the beauty of those is this. And a lot of you guys don't know. I used to smoke. Chain smoke. I stopped smoking in 2010, and I go through a pack and a half of Newport 100s every day.
Oh, expensive. Newports?
Yeah, and I had a fucking horrible job. That was half my check. But
oh, shit.
Yeah, I was killing myself on that stuff. But one thing that I've seen from coworkers, people who are on vapes, you can actually wean down the amount of nicotine over time. So, I mean, you could even, get a vape that has 0 nicotine in the actual pool. So you can start off at a certain level and slowly wean yourself off of it to the point where you really aren't even smoking anymore.
You make a good point, but nicotine's not bad for you. Nicotine itself is not bad for you. It's the carcinogens and all the other bullshit that they put in regular cigarettes, and the fact that, yes, you are smoking, or you know what I mean? There's a lot of nasty chemicals in regular cigarettes. You know what I mean? Like, nicotine on its own is not
the
bad
nicotine
for you.
is actually it's very addicting, is what I'm saying.
It is. But
that's
so
the aspect I'm talking about.
So is Destiny. So is Coca-Cola. So's.
I mean, I've got a question for you.
Diet Coke is the strongest addiction I've ever had in my entire life, and I can't get off of it.
Just like me and my wife, Briar. I can't get off of it.
Wilson, do those vapes work for crack? That's the question. Can it wean you off that?
I could mix you up a special blend.
I was going to say, because it'd be no good for me if it's
confirmed.
If it don't work for crack, I'm sorry, it's not gonna work for me. But
can you low fat loop?
Plumes?
Let's see the clouds. I want to see.
Oh no, I can't do like the wisps and I don't.
You can get a shit ton of smoke. There's a guy I work with who drives a truck, and when he's driving, he blows out the passenger window. It looks like his truck's on fire. You can get a lot of smoke in this thing.
Yeah.
It's called.
Shout out to Buffalo.
That's hella vapor grind, is what that is. And like, I get it, dude. Like, vapors have a really bad stigma because, like, I've met those people that, they want to walk up and they want to tell you all about their vape and like how awesome it is, and like people ask me. Vegans. Yes. Yeah. Oh, wait, you vape? I've only known you for 20 seconds. Thank you.
How do you know if somebody's a vapor? They fucking tell you?
I couldn't tell. Yeah, I couldn't tell. I thought there was just, a giant fog settled in that you stepped out of. Like, like, I thought that was just your grand entrance, like WWE. Like,
oh,
he's here.
I might go buy a vape tomorrow.
Dude, I got you at Guardian Con. I'll just vape everywhere before you enter, and like, it'll be good.
Amazing.
But like, I get those people are really annoying. You know what I mean? Like, I get it, and that can be with like any obsession or hobby. Like, they want to tell you about it and stuff like that. I just looked at it as a good opportunity to not like smell really bad, and like, I'm getting older, and like, I got pets and stuff. Like, I don't want them like suffering because of my shitty decision. I didn't start smoking until I was like 18, 19 years old. I made it all the way through the peer pressures of high school, and then just started partying really hard and decided to pick up cigarettes, and it was just a bad choice. And then I started doing construction, and there was no one there to tell me that I couldn't have a cigarette. So it was 2 packs a day, you know what I mean? And I've never felt better since. Like, the whole smell, I could smell better. I can keep up with my dog at the park. I haven't really noticed anything with taste.
Good. I mean, I worked in a heat treat. I still do, actually. I run a laboratory now, but in Ohio, I worked at a heat treat, and I was trying to stop smoking. And inside these type of businesses, everybody's running these huge furnaces, austenization, and everybody's smoking. And so it was really hard for me to fight the peer pressure back then and get off of it. But you're right, man. I mean, I haven't vaped. I've never done it. I quit cold turkey, believe it or not.
Dude, that's gangster is what that is.
Yeah,
Wait, cold turkey, dude. Fuck, man. Good for
March
you.
8th, 2010 was the last day. But after I quit, that feeling, I mean, what you're talking about, you probably feel exactly what I know what you mean.
Yep.
All that, the issues that you have when you're, doing it all the time just melt away. You feel so much better. I'm real happy for you, Wilson.
Thanks, man.
Briar, this is your topic. What is your technology in the last 5 years that is epic? It's changed your life.
I mean, I could go with 100 different things that I have sitting that enable me to do YouTube. And okay, like that's definitely the. I could go with the PC. That I mean, honestly, since I've been PC gaming, I've enjoyed video games. PC has gotten so much easier to use, but if we're really gonna be honest, it's got to be the fleshlight, right? Just thing is unbelievable.
It's a godsend.
You stole mine, man.
She's there when she's not there.
Right. It's liberating, I would say.
I thought you were going to say lubricating.
Do you know what,
Also
Brian?
that.
You stole my point, but I wasn't going to go with it because actually the Fleshlight was founded in 1995, so it's 22 years old.
Damn,
FYI.
Briar, 5 years. And anal beads, you can't
I mean,
use
you've
those
only-
either, Briar.
You only got into it 5 years ago. I've been, 22-year veteran. I was there. I was
started
part of
when
the
he was 8.
Kickstarter program.
Did
I
you
was
look
there.
up the patent on the fleshlight to see when it?
I may have in the past Wikipedia'd a Fleshlight once or twice just to know exactly what I'm purchasing.
It's one of
Fair
my
enough.
favorite things about playing video games with you, Gary, is that you're always kind of on Wikipedia, just like looking shit up and telling us about it.
He's got like a fucking 12.0 KD at the end of the match,
Right.
and he's sitting here and he's like, right, I got 4 different angles of the hurricane up on my monitor right now, and I'm like, dude, we ran out of medals. What are you doing?
I just like to know things. Sometimes I recall little bits of facts and nuggets that I like, and I happen to know that the Fleshlight was founded in 1995. There were variants added later. They added like the moustache, Mr. Moustache, was added 8 years ago. But yeah,
You're like the Johnny Five of the internet, like input. You're just going through, like, doesn't matter what it's about.
Real quick, for the guys in chat who are saying that Briar is having audio issues, we'll get that figured out, but you can always hear the entire podcast on Podbean or iTunes, and it'll be uploaded by tomorrow, so you can actually hear what he said, because it was actually pretty damn funny. And this is the episode we're trying to not be funny. I think we're doing pretty good. So Fleshlight it is. No, you can't use that, Briar. It's 22 years old. You got to go with 5 years.
I'll go with some dumb, which I don't know, like life changing, and it's provided me and my family with.
It's a distant
Something like
second
that.
to Fleshlight, though.
Hell yeah!
A distant
So-
second.
I was terribly disappointed when I couldn't use Fleshlight, and I found out the facts and figures on this one, and realised that whilst again it's been a strong part of my life in the past 5 years, it should have been there for longer. I'm actually going to go with something that as well was invented a lot, I guess longer ago, but has come back into the commercial sphere in the last 5 years, and that's VR. At
You
least
stole
current
mine,
gen VR.
Gary.
All right, do you know what? You can have VR then if you want. You can have VR.
Can we share it?
We can
Can we just
share it.
share it?
Sure.
Okay, this can be
We
the
can
start of a
share it.
new thing, Gary. You and I holding hands. Go ahead.
Oh, I'd rather hold junk, but if we have to hold hands, we'll do that. I'll start from the hand and sort of.
I had a poster of that face, that beastly face. She's like,
You know, I'm driving the car, you're in the passenger seat, I'm going for the gear stick, but I'm sort of sliding a little bit too far over on one. Just keep going. Just don't worry, it's natural. Whatever feels good, just go with it. Yeah, so back to the talk of VR. For me, as a piece of technology that can revolutionize and change lives, I think this is the first time we've seen VR that is commercially viable. And yes, it's the top end of what I'd consider to be commercially viable, but they've recently dropped the Oculus down. The summer of Oculus is now indefinite. So you can pick up an Oculus with touch for $400.
that's
Now, to
incredible.
me,
Really. If you
that's-
think about it, you get 2 controllers in there, which any controller is going to be $1. So that's 2 of those. You get a base station, and you get the headset, which is selling that for $400. Actually.
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it's not much more. Well, I think PSVR is $400.
Yeah.
And you still need a PlayStation to work with it. Granted, the base PC is a little bit more. You probably get a $600 VR capable PC now, I imagine, with what the minimum specs are.
I
But
would argue that you'd want to.
yeah, you would. But I'm just kind of thinking if you're on a budget, you've got it. I'm just thinking now where it is. But what I've noticed is more and more retail applications are starting to use VR. So the new big hotness, Disney World that I just went to this year, the two new big rides that they've got are both VR rides. So people are starting to get more and more accustomed to VR being an entertainment source. So they've got a 30-minute, you can pay $30, and it's a 30-minute Star Wars themed VR experience that you go. It's like based after Rogue One, where you're like escaping like an Imperial base with some plans or something of that nature. But it's like you just pay $30 for this one-off ride, this experience they've got at their it's not in the park, it's outside it. And then their new Avatar ride that they've got on is what they call like mixed augmented reality. So you put on the headset, but you can kind of see through it as well with the screen. So all of the new immersive entertainment rides are all using VR, and we're getting that kind of top-end consumer technology in our homes if we're fortunate enough to have VR. So I think the headsets that we've got, Briar, I think we were just early adopters. I think we're going to see more and more.
Pimax has got a new 8K set out that has like a huge field too. That apparently is a very, very nice head. Oculus has been talking about a couple they got coming out probably. Like the next gen, I think is.
PlayStation has a new one that's coming out very soon as well.
Well, it's not a new one. It's amp on the.
It's modeled. It's their model.
Waiting for VR.
Not the Model 2. It's like a revision.
Yeah, it's an improvement.
Like
it's
they
a
changed where
2.0.
the headset was. The fact that the cable is thinner. PlayStation now.
Yeah.
Calling it version 2, I think, doing something.
I'm just kind of waiting for VR to catch up, man. Like for other things in gaming, like just the idea of virtual reality gaming, sounded cool when I was much younger. But like now that I'm getting a little older, like I just want to chill, like, and play a video game. And it feels like it's just so much. Like, I'm trying to get over and get my water, and I got my VR headset on, and I'm spilling.
Let me tell you what happened to me the night before last. I bought some new VR games on PSVR because there's this big VR sale. PlayStation VR is a year old, so they had a ton of games. I'm trying to remember the name. I think it's called Mortal Blitz, which is a shooter, and it's like a space shooter, and there's like these vampire-type creatures, and of course, space marines that you're shooting against. It's one of the best-feeling VR games I played on PSVR, believe it or not. It was only like $7 or $8. It's normally like 20 or 25. But I had a full glass. I bought a huge bottle of wine. Kate and I were drinking it. And so she was going to bed. I had one final glass of wine. So I sat it on my little end table, and I put the VR headset on. And I got really into this game. Ended up beating it that night. But I knocked the shit out of that glass. And there was wine all over the floor.
I'm saying, man, you could
and
spill
it was the
wine,
last of it.
Water, a water pipe.
I was already, tipsy. I was tipsy to get down and suck it out of the carpet. And if Kate walked into here, she probably would have thought I was drunk and thought I was fantasizing about her. Who knows? Maybe she should have came back.
Are you a red wine or a white wine? Okay.
That can go either way. White wine when I'm thinking about my
Moscato
wife.
kind of man.
Shut up, Gary. That's not public information. Okay? Shit. Pink Moscato tastes good when you're in the mood for it. God damn it.
The thing that I want to use VR for is I want to use it to visit places that I wouldn't normally be able to visit, right? So I want to go to the Taj Mahal. I want to go to, I guess I can go to the Smithsonian, but like, the places that I have this problem with planes, okay? I don't like them. That's all I'm going to say about it. So it's very hard for me to want to go see Stonehenge or the pyramids or all of Japan.
Japan,
or maybe the faces of Easter Island or the Nazca Lines or whatever, just all these different things that I'd love to see, or different museums in other countries that if I could put on a VR headset and maybe pay a $5-10 ticket for a couple hour to go take a tour of a museum or something like that, I think.
Yeah, man, I was going to say Google Earth VR, that's like 15 minutes work. You can hit all of them.
Really?
Damn it. PSVR doesn't have it.
Yeah,
I wanted to
So
know.
I could go into museums and stuff. Like, I mean, not just obviously Google Earth.
No.
Okay.
And you can do a couple of museums. So there's a couple of apps on Oculus that are actually in the curator's gallery that they've put a couple. Like, the museums have sponsored it to happen, so you can walk around the inside of certain museums. I don't know if it's the Smithsonian, but there is a couple on there already.
Like
you can start walking around.
I want people to make like Zen gardens and stuff that I could go into if I wanted like a long day home from work and I wanted to just come home and maybe attempt
I know where this is going.
Attempt meditation for once in my life. You know, if I could just have like a Zen garden, if I could go in, have, you know, maybe be on top of a mountain somewhere with.
If you
cool,
could put on
man.
a headset and be inside of a
stimulants?
bus
Any
with
stimulants at
beanbags and curtains on the wall, sorted. Just
There are
virtual
actually
reality.
some really cool apps that it can happen.
Yeah.
Let me real quick move away from VR. I said that was going to be mine, but Gary, he kind of made better points than I was going to make. Something in the last 5 years I think is really cool, and I think a lot of people are benefiting from it. Some people maybe not, is higher resolution televisions. I think 4K, 5K have been big changes and well worth the price of admission when you have the right hardware to use it. I didn't have one until I bought my PS4 Pro. But to have it and to see films and to play games in higher resolution, it's always kind of, you know, it's a breath of fresh air to be able to see things through a different lens. And of course, we know, like you guys are talking about 8K and all this stuff coming. But right now, within the last 5 years, I think that the standard of 4K has made a big impression on monitors. And I think it's really cool technology. Do you guys agree with that at all?
No, you guys are all wrong.
Damn.
The best thing that's ever last 5 years, lighting, for your house. I have RGB. I don't know if you, but lighting in your house with your phone, and it's gorgeous. You can have it flash with the music. You can have it pulsating. You can have it wake you up. It can put you to sleep.
I want this on my
RGB
bus.
RGB everywhere. It's beautiful. It's technology in the bus. Hell yeah.
I want this on the bus,
Definitely
man.
need it in the bus, man. You
Dude.
can get RGB for the back of your monitor so it reflects on the wall behind you. Same colors that are on the monitor. I mean, RGB is the future. And if you are an RGB denier, I don't want to.
Damn, you're like Eminem.
dropping it down.
Yeah, I need some RGB on the bus, man. I used to be into that with my Xbox 360s. I'd take the top off, cut out like holes in it, and basically in the shell, and then line it with plexiglass underneath, and then do like little strips of LED lighting and stuff. That was always fun.
Didn't
Little
it melt
RGB. No, it didn't, but it would eventually red ring out. So at least you had other colors to deal with by the time the thing fucking shit on you for the 9th goddamn time.
I think I want to invest in that, Brian. You've been talking about these lights for a while, and you know I always want to be with you, Brian.
RGB, man.
RGB.
Everything.
Can you use them for like intimate time?
Yeah, man.
No.
Fuck
Why'd you do
yeah.
that?
There is
You wanna get
a specific setting that goes on when you radio. It's
I've been feeling dry, baby. You got to get that lighting right there.
Is it like the red light special?
Oh yeah, it just
No.
pulsates.
Man,
And then as the song goes on, it gets a little faster and a little faster, and then it slows down.
Does
it
it
gets
stop
going
like when you
again.
hear kids knock on the door?
no. What you need again, if you're gonna get freaky, this RGB lighting and stuff. No, that's completely setting the wrong tone for me. I like a pink neon flamingo flashing on the wall, right? and an old sketchy lava lamp on the side. That would
Yeah,
be.
80s style, fucking Miami Vice style over there.
That's it.
Sketchy about lava
don't
lamps.
overthink a classic. When you've got something working, why do you have to fix it? You know. if I could grow a Selleck moustache, I'd be rocking that too. But not quite there yet.
It's
But I'm
almost
getting
there.
boned by Don Johnson. Pink flamingo around.
Has to happen. I'll roll up the sleeves on my white blazer and just accept it. That's it.
Sometimes you wonder in the deep dark recesses of Briar's mind where this shit comes from.
Experience mainly.
Yeah, mainly
Experience shit.
mainly just life.
Things
Well,
haven't gone
guys-
smoothly up to this point, Beasley.
This is, you know, how do I know you guys? It's insane. You know what? I really wanted to call out the fact that this is our not funny show. And we've gotten a lot of comments recently on Twitter and on YouTube about the fact that this gaming podcast has become the funniest thing that people have been seeing on the internet. So we've attempted to pull back a little bit so that you guys are able to just digest the gaming content. Hopefully today you didn't laugh more than twice. And if you did, please let us know in the comments below. And as always, if you guys would like to be a part of the show, like so many of our other viewers, submit your topics for consideration at revolvergamescast@gmail.com so you can be a part of the show and have your topics read by one of our amazing hosts.
Should we do that one of these days? Do like an all user submitted show one of these days?
Do that next week? Yeah, plenty.
We've got plenty of stuff. Yeah, we've got a.
You want to do it next week?
Yeah, it'll give.
That'd be dope.
I'm going to be honest. The viewers' topics are actually far funnier than ours, so I'm happy to have them.
Tell you what, since we've got people who probably would like to submit topics for next week's show, let's do 4 topics from our catalog from previous viewers and give 2 spots to people who submitted for next week. This week, would you guys like to do that?
Fire through them. Yeah, if we got 15 topics,
All right, well, we'll figure it out behind the scenes, all nude. We normally don't wear clothes when we talk privately, guys, but you know, Twitter and YouTube, they always say shit when clothes start coming off. But we'll definitely hash this out and get it figured out for next week's show, and it'll be all about you, all about you.
This week, I'm following somebody who decided to publicly shame somebody who sent her a dick pic on Twitter, so she reposted it publicly. I'm like, why is there a picture of a dick in my timeline?
Really?
I was like, well, I understand that you're trying to shame the person who sent it to you, but you just sent a dick pic to everybody who follows you, you son of a bitch.
You just dick picked the web.
Like, had the effect that you were looking for.
Yeah, technically you've sent thousands of dick pics.
It's just made me feel inadequate about myself, so thanks.
Have people been trying to contact you since you sent that picture, Gary?
I tried, but no one was interested, to be honest. I wouldn't be interested if I saw that.
To be fair, that's how we met, and I responded.
That worked for me.
I left my number written down the side of it in like ballpoint pen, just like that.
I called twice. He never called back.
Well, it was a 8-digit number, so I had to actually go on to 2 lines. I couldn't quite. It doesn't matter.
So, like, Twitter is the new public restroom. Okay.
It is.
That overseas number was too long for his dick.
It was. While we're talking about pimping out things as well, we're actually almost up to 100 subscribers on Podbean, or followers, whatever they want to call it. People that click the notification stuff.
We love you.
We're at I think we're at 96. So if 4 of you decide to follow or subscribe on Podbean, that will get us over the 100, and that would make me feel better because it's 3 digits rather than 2. Secondly, if you could leave us any reviews on iTunes, that's the little golden stars and a couple of words. At the moment, we've only got 1 review, and it definitely wasn't from me. So if anyone else wants to add that, then that would be fantastic.
I don't believe that for a second.
Well, the review said this isn't from Gary, so I'm going to believe the reviewer.
They bring solid evidence to the table that they're clearly not Gary.
Who are you to question? Who are you to question the person who made the comment? You can't question them.
Don't assume their identity.
You don't want to paint the picture that our viewers are liars. Everyone who watches the show listens.
Hosts are liars.
I can't help you there, Gary.
He's probably right. I'm going to be honest.
Never mind. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. See you next week.
Love you.
Goodbye.
Maybe I'll remember.